you can probably imagine these were not originally intended to be Smash or Pass lists. This was just a tier ranking. But through some clever engineering of my own, I have created a sort of scale, if you will. Here, and you'll notice it is an S through C tier. Just a slightly different language and wording around it all. We have S tier, in which I am in a sensual, committed relationship with whatever we're ranking. A tier for a one-night stand. B tier for better as friends. And then C tier for we're casual acquaintances. Hey, Pangolin, what's going on? I'm just explaining that we're going a little bit more in-depth than just Smash or Pass. I felt like that was too limiting. I wanted to take it a little deeper, a little bit more complex. And then I will admit, it doesn't exactly go to D tier. It drops all the way down to H tier for hello, HR. Because there's sometimes that Pass is not firm enough. You need to get an authority involved. And we'll see if that comes up. So I think we're gonna start off with some like easy ones. So it's not about the welcome Easter. It's not about the burgers, though, you know, maybe that's part of it. It's about the establishment as a whole. This one in specific is about the brand. We've got quite a list. We've also got just every fruit imaginable. We'll be getting there. That is a truly grade A first time chat. We've got Penguin's recommendation. Hey, what's up, River? I have created a truly unhinged tier list. Sensual committed relationship, a one-night stand, better as friends, casual acquaintances, or hello, HR. We are going to do all 120 Crayola colors. We have canned foods. We have household appliances. That's the big event for the night. Because this is the one I've already given my most thought, right? This one I'm coming in with formed opinions on. We have every Monster Hunter wild monster. And because some of these images are not the most evocative, I do have them all pulled up here on the side, and we'll be able to get a little blurb about them, as well as tab in and take a little look when we need a little bit more information about, you know, who's this handsome man? Hey, what's up, Colin? Colin, we have your recommendation of canned foods. So we are going to... the household appliances, listen, some of those pretty steamy, if you know what I'm talking about. Wait, no, I don't mean to put that. I'm a fan of some of these, you know what I'm saying? I'd go curling with it. I don't know what I'm saying there. I'd let it wash me, give me a little scrub bath. We're gonna get wild, is what I'm saying. So if you're not on board for that, here's your warning. I'm gonna, we're gonna keep it fun. I'm not gonna get too graphic with any of my descriptions. The ones that will be obvious, you know? And we're all adults here. If you're not an adult, you should not have clicked on the I consent part of the Twitch warning. I really recommend everyone has a little adult beverage. I have one in my hands. I've got a Oaxacan old fashioned that I'm making right now, or that I just made, which is tequila, mezcal, simple syrup, some Angostura bitters, some Aztec chocolate bitters, and a little lemon zest in there too, to get a little loose for the stream. You know, just warming up, taking the edge off a touch as I. Ooh, wonderful! I'm so glad everybody's got their drinkies. Hey, and you know what? Adult beverage does not have to be an alcoholic beverage. I'm a big fan of mocktails. I think the mocktails have come a long, long way. I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with that. I'm not here to cast judgment on anyone for any of this, because you're all here to judge me for the weird choices I'm about to say on stream. First of all, Five Guys were poly. Let's just start it off, shall we? You have some mates, so you'll have that with lemon juice. Excellent. I'm so glad everybody got drinkies. Hi, Quinn. Welcome in. Welcome in. Yeah, we're just chatting a little bit to get it started off with, but I do feel like the world needs to know. Me and Five Guys. Yeah, listen. I'll have a time with some Five Guys. That's just me and the bros. Me and the bros living together, making burgers for anyone who needs it, giving so many French fries. There is... Yeah, I think truly Five Guys is actually, like, genuinely S-tier fast food for, like, 5 big guys, and it goes right to my thighs, parentheses positive. That is the energy we're here for today. Absolutely. We're just gonna listen, we're just gonna run a train on 5 guys. And by that I mean we're making a stop, and if anyone wants anything, you know, we're all in. But 5 Guys is one of my favorite fast food restaurants. Their fries are incredible, and they always put way too many in the bag, which means that they're generous lovers. You know, like if you get a small thing of fries, they give you a whole second sack of fries in that bag, for like what you're paying for. I will say I haven't had it in a long time. Maybe it's changed. 5 Guys was one of those things that I really loved in high school because it was really close to where I went to school, and so I would get it pretty frequently after that. I had a lot of disposable income at the time. Yeah, exactly. See, one small fry, enough to fill 2 people. That's a 5 Guys guarantee. You're getting stuffed if you go to 5 Guys, and that's all I'm saying. So we're in a sensual, committed relationship. Now, listen. It's time we talk about Arby's. Arby's is a problem. We're starting off high and we're starting off real low. I know they have the beef. I know what you're thinking. I know they have the beef. It's right there in the slogan. You think that would be at least a one-night stand territory. I get that. I have a personal... yeah, they're about the meats. So, I have a confession. I've never eaten at Arby's. And hear me out. This is not the hear me out I thought we'd be doing on this kind of stream, but hear me out. When I was a child, I was on a road trip with my parents. We went to an Arby's for like lunch. The Arby's that we were going into, like we were gonna go sit down. We needed to get out of the car for a little bit. The door was broken, like the hinge and the spring on it was broken, and so it was extremely heavy, and then it slammed back into like my 6-year-old shoulder, and pinned me between the door and like the entrance to the Arby's. And I like got stuck there, and I absolutely, like, I had a bruise later from how hard it hit me and pinned my shoulder. My parents thought it dislocated my shoulder, and then when the manager came and like checked on us, all he did was say sorry, and was just like, oh yeah, it's kind of broken. Like, was not saying like, oh, we're gonna go take care of it. They didn't even give us, like, the least they could have done is given us some free roast beef, you know? Ooh, chicken shaker and chocolate turnover. That does sound good. I don't know what a chicken shaker is, but man, a shaken chicken, I can see that being a lot of fun, you know? But I think at best, Arby's and I would be better as friends, but I simply can't trust it. Not again. Speaking of things I can't trust, I think fast food is going to be one of the most divisive because I've got opinions. Popcorn chicken in a cup, then dumped barbecue sauce and whatever sauce you want and shook it up. So you basically like made your own sauce concoction? Oh, that's tempting. Well, listen. I mean, that alone might be enough to bring it up to a one-night stand, but I think I have to stand by my personal values. I don't think I would ever be the same. I would feel so dirty after that, you know? Just personally. Speaking of dirty, Jack in the Box. Oh, enemies to lovers trope between me and Arby's. That big hat. So Jack in the Box. Yeah, no, I knew this one was going to be controversial. I have never not gotten sick at Jack in the Box. I think this is purely a me problem. I actually think I have a pretty high constitution score. If we were going to break down what my D&D stats are, I have pretty high constitution. And I think the thing that I don't love about Jack in the Box is that it tries to do everything. All day breakfast. Okay, see, this is honestly great because I'm getting little insights onto what to order, because I feel like I'm ordering the wrong things at these places that I don't like. Jack in the Box, the thing that was recommended to me before was their tacos, and those made me so ill I could not continue work that day. Oh yeah, I mean, hey, I would love to do more of these in the future, honestly, and getting people on the stream, if anyone ever wanted to discuss it, that would be fun. I'd be down for that. Breakfast bowl, interesting. Yeah, it's exactly. The tacos were the greasiest things I've ever eaten. I don't think it's on this list because it's not counted as fast food, but I have long been saying that the zombie apocalypse would start from 7-Eleven tacos. You know those tacos or taquitos that you see at a 7-Eleven slowly rotating, just getting like dried out, and they look infected somehow? I think that is, if I were to start a zombie movie, that is what Patient Zero would be. It would be one of those, like, yeah, some of them were gray, exactly. Now A&W. Oh, A&W's fun, but it doesn't offer a lot, and that's an issue. They look infected. Not that they've gone bad, but infected. Exactly. So I would have a one-night stand with A&W, and I've basically done this, and I know what you're thinking. What? But really? Okay, see, everybody's got their stories. So A&W stands for, oh gosh, what does it stand for? I was going to Google it, and then I was like, I don't have Google open because then y'all would see it. Let me look at what A&W stand for. Hamburgers. Exact. Hamburgers and root beer. 100% Quinn. Okay, it's named after its founders, Roy W. Allen and Frank Wright. So Allen and Wright. That's less exciting than what so I had A&W in Canada a lot. There is like a lot of A&W there for whatever reason, even though they position themselves frequently as like America's burger for like the 90s. That was like their slogan. And yeah, they're usually connected to something. It's rarely a one and done on the A&W. It's like you've got A&W and KFC is the one that like I think was closest to me growing up, and that one I have a fond memory of because their computer, when I went through the drive-thru, their computer broke and I was waiting in line for 30 minutes. And I know what you're thinking, wait, you just said that this is a positive memory. So what happened was, because their computer broke and they couldn't take any more orders and the food was going bad, they just gave everyone in line all of the food that they had. And so this is both a KFC and an A&W like memory, where for waiting in line for like 20 minutes, they gave me, I think I had something like 5 root beers. I was there just with it was me and my mom, and they gave us like 5 root beers, something like 6 burgers, a whole bucket of fries. And I ate more A&W than any one person should. Yes, that was the first time I had hacked the system, I had shut it all down, and I did it all for free root beer and burgers, and I would do it again. Absolutely. But the thing is, once you've had a triple bacon burger and a root beer float, you feel so heavy that you cannot move for another 2 years. And I think that is why. Also, there's just not a lot of variety. And even though there's not a lot of variety at Five Guys, I feel like the quality of Five Guys elevates it to being able to be a long-term commitment. Whereas A&W, it's just not going to work as a long-term thing. They're not interested in branching out. They're not interested in improving themselves, really. They've got the one thing that really works for them, the root beer, and they're just like, we'll coast. And it's hard to be with somebody who doesn't, like, try and take kind of, like, ownership over their own improvement, you know? And so, for those reasons, I'm at a one-night stand. Auntie Anne's sensual, committed relationship. She's got those pretzel dogs. She knows how to tie anything into a knot. I don't need to go on. Boston Market. I don't know Boston Market. It's not been a thing. So, yeah. Soft pretzels, very hard to beat. So, casual acquaintance here, not as a slam, but just a I don't know her kind of situation. We did not is our Boston, like, is that an East Coast thing? I don't think I've ever even seen one, and I genuinely, like, I just don't know their deal. The thing I remember hearing is that, like, that people enjoyed their rotisserie chickens. Yeah, Thanksgiving food. Yeah, totally. Had them in the South. Okay, because of the name. I guess. So, before I, oh, my face froze. Fix that up. Because of, I think I just didn't have them around me. Mac and cheese and cinnamon apples do sound good, though. Maybe we can, I think because I've got so many people recommending them in chat right now, I'm like, listen, I would go on a blind date. I'd go on a blind date with Boston Market, absolutely. But I think ultimately, because I'm just not sure we're going to have that much in common, we're probably better as friends. And then Burger King. Honestly, Burger King is close to HR. It's really riding the line between casual acquaintance and HR. This is a tough one. I think I go HR, actually. Yeah, it got really bad really fast. That's absolutely true. I think, and you know, this is twofold. I've had not a lot of Burger King in my life, but I just, like, each time I've had it, it's been way too much. Isn't Grimace? That's McDonald's, right? I could be wrong, but, ooh, chicken fries. Now, chicken fries are very close to bringing it up to casual. You know what? Chicken fries alone, and I have a love-hate relationship with the King, who was their mascot, for, like, throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, where they made those Xbox era, like, they had 3 Xbox 360 games that you could get at Burger King. So, like, you know, I'm familiar with the King's game, quite literally, Sneak King, in which you play as the King and you're trying to sneak into people's homes to give them Burger King. That is a game I should play on stream sometime. Yeah, it's so delightfully creepy. I think you're absolutely, like, right. I think that brings it up to casual acquaintance, if not better as friends. That was a fun era, and chicken fries are great. Breakfast. Okay, see, I just never did fast food breakfast except for Wendy's, which we'll get to that. We'll get to Wendy's, and I think people will. I feel like that's a love-hate thing. I have a lot of stories about Wendy's. Wendy's is probably the fast food I've eaten the most in my life, so we'll get there. They had the gold Pokemon cards. Ooh, that's very close. Oh, you know what? They also had the toys from Pokemon the first movie. They had those good toys in which I got a little Poliwhirl, and when I dunked him in water and squeezed it, it filled up with water. And then I lifted it up and it could spray water at a little water gun Poliwhirl that I got at Burger King. Burger King, we can be friends. He was so close to having HR called on him. But, okay, peak kids meal toys. Burger King. You know what? Saving yourself from the friend zone. I mean, you're still in the friend zone, but honestly, you're saving yourself from a serious talking to. Now I'll just kind of like begrudgingly hold a conversation with it at a party. You know, as you do with friends. That's maybe too mean. I think that, I think casual acquaintance is right. Because toys are great, chicken fries are great, too much mustard is a problem. Checkers. I am unfamiliar with Checkers game. Is Checkers, Carl's Jr.? Or which one is Carl's Jr. regionally? Because that's a different one. Hardee's is Carl's Jr. I also don't know Rally's. I think this is another Northwest Canada, like, blank space. Or like American Northwest, Canadian Southwest, like, blank spot that we just really never had. Okay, yeah, we barely have them here. I think I've seen them, but I've certainly never eaten one. And so, like, honestly, at that point, I do have to move. I'm going so back and forth with Burger King. I didn't realize the King was going to make me feel so many complex feelings. But I think Checkers has to go down to casual acquaintance because I just don't know it. And because I do know Burger King, I think we're better as friends. It's certainly not getting any higher than that. Chick-fil-A, straight to HR, obvious reasons. Chipotle, wow, look at this absolutely enormous sign for Chipotle. I mean, listen, it's wide, just like the burritos, at least the burritos I had before I stopped really eating a ton of fast food. And so because of that, I'm just saying, the girth is right. And if the girth is worth, then you enjoy with mirth. That's what they all say. That's the famous classic saying about Chipotle. If the girth is worth, enjoy the mirth. Yeah, pro good food, con E. coli on more than one occasion, and it's where you're getting the E. coli when you have a one-night stand with Chipotle. That's a real issue. Yes, 100%. Chipotle, like, living in California now, there is so, like, I would never go to Chipotle now, which is why it's a one-night stand, right? I could never be in a committed relationship with Chipotle when there's, like, so many better MILF and DILF shops around the local area, which is what I like to call mom and pop shops, obviously, for this stream, at least for this stream. I've never said that before, and I'll probably never say it again. It felt wrong coming out. Cinnabon. I mean, Cinnabon and I, we go back. Childhood friends, Cinnabon. That kind of like line where it's like that anime trope where you're, you know, childhood friends, you get separated for a little while and then you discover each other as adults again. Could go to Blinkbirdos and get 18 times tastier. It cost me like $3 and a conversation. I might need to hit you up about. I've got a few different taco places that I like close to me. But listen, 18 times tastier, high recommendation. I might need to hit you up about that recommendation. Yeah, Cinnabon. Listen, it's got the buns with the glaze. What more is there to say? Bun is right in the name, you know. It's right there. I'm getting glazed up by Cinnabon, is all I'm saying, which is more than I needed to say. But committed relationship, getting glazed every night with Cinnabon. Jimmy John's is a casual acquaintance. I've had it like twice. It's fine, but there's better sandwiches, you know? There's always a better sandwich around. And I feel like the people at Jimmy John's are always kind of like judging me for wanting every meat and no vegetables on my sandwich, which is why when we get to another sandwich place, it's going to rank much higher. Dairy Queen, I could be in a sensual, committed relationship with the queen. Yeah, Jersey Mike's definitely better than Jimmy John's. I am going to have an out-of-pocket take on sandwiches that I think, I don't know, maybe it's actually not an uncommon millennial trend, but we'll get there. Dairy Queen, a dilly bar every day, you know? Dairy Queen used to do the thing nearby me where it's if you got good enough grades, they would give you free desserts. And so that was just, oh yeah. I mean, we're talking food, right? So you gotta you've got to become the worst. The bratwurst. It's time for a brat summer, everyone. God, these jokes. I'm like, why does my brain work this way? Why was that the first thing that I thought of was brat summer? But yeah, thank you for just chiming in to say boo, honestly. Well, while we're on theme, honestly, yeah, so DQ I can't speak for this regularly, but back in the early 2000s had an excellent spicy chicken sandwich. One of the first spicy chicken sandwiches I remember. Absolutely fantastic. But their dessert game is unparalleled and you can get it through drive-thru. There's been so many times that I just like absolutely needed a dilly bar, needed an ice cream sando, and they absolutely delivered. It's so good. And so for that, we stan a queen. Yeah, the spicy sandwich is fantastic. It was really, really good. And I don't know if they do it anymore, but there's other spicy sandwiches that we'll be getting onto here. Yeah, it was one of those things. So the one downside to Dairy Queen is it was expensive even for the era, which is why them doing like free desserts or like half off desserts depending on your grades and stuff was really, really nice. It was like a treat that we get right at the end of the school year, beginning of the summer. Fantastic memories. While I'm a hot dog, it's not going to last for much longer. Sonic and I, honestly, so there was a Sonic nearby me, and I never went that much because when I went, every time it was fun because the people are on roller skates, and they're delivering the food to like your car, and so it's like classic like drive-through kind of like Americana nostalgia, at least the one that we went to back when I was living in Oregon. But gives you heartburn. I was so young when I was going to this. I had not even experienced the depths of heartburn that it could give me. But the thing that I remember is because it's Sonic, and Sonic loves his chili cheese dogs, and because Sonic the restaurant has chili cheese dogs, I thought it was some sort of co-sponsorship between the restaurant and like the video game character. And so I was like, well, naturally I need to get a chili cheese dog. And I did. And actually, maybe that was the first time that I ever had heartburn, because I was like 15, and yet somehow it created that. I was probably 16. I think I drove there. So I'll say, you know what, Sonic, like, you're fun, but we can't be anything more than just fun. Dunkin' Donuts, straight to HR. I know that anyone from the East Coast is going to get on me, except for Momo. Dunkin' Donuts is the worst coffee and the worst donuts I've ever had. Simultaneously both. Sonic is Smash. Yes. Well, Sonic is in Smash, so maybe I actually do have to put up at least up to a one night stand, because, just canonically in Smash. Smash in the drive-thru and take all of the hot dogs. Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts just doesn't even begin to rate, is absolutely HR. When I was in college, a Dunkin' Donuts took over like a mom and pop shop restaurant that was across the street from the college. I went there like twice to try and like see what the fuss was all about, because people were so stoked that a Dunkin' Donuts was coming to town. And I was like, y'all, I get that it's a massive amount of sugar for extremely cheap, but it just made me so sick. And the donuts always tasted stale. The quote unquote restaurant, I'm gonna call it a store because I don't think they actually cooked anything there. Yeah, so the best donuts I've ever had were in New York. It was this place called Dough Donuts. Was like this incredible single shop in Brooklyn that was beyond like amazing. The best donuts I've ever had in my life. So good, and my friends knew I loved it so much that they brought Momo and I donuts from there to our wedding when they were traveling out from New York. They had these donuts with them in their luggage for 24 hours before we got them, and they were still delicious. And somehow, for some reason, people were still going to Dunkin' Donuts when it was like 4 blocks away from the best donut place I've ever had. There are great donuts here in like California as well. Absolutely love some of the donuts around here. But I think just Dunkin' Donuts is a crime. There's also one not far from where I live now, and every morning there is like a line down the block for people in the drive-thru, and it blocks traffic, and it's absolutely miserable. Dunkin' Donuts, I wish it didn't exist. That's how deep in Hello HR it is. Yeah, lots of mom and pop donut stands too. Yeah. Some of them are really good, but definitely you get some miss. You get some stuff where you're like, oh, you cooked this like 3 days ago and you just reheated it. But my grandfather was a baker and made donuts. And so I will say, I think maybe my donut standard is high. Elevation Burger, literally, who is this? Is just in Hello HR because like, ooh, I can't join you there, River. I cannot say that I would rather have Dunkin' than Krispy Kreme. I would certainly rather have Krispy Kreme than Dunkin', because I've never had a fresh donut from Dunkin' once. And at least at Krispy Kreme, I see them coming off the factory belt. That's better for me. Yes, exactly. Hello HR because they don't work for the company for Elevation Burger. I'm like, this person has snuck into my home and is claiming that they live here. I have a home invasion. Yeah, 100%. Like, this is a person wearing a face of my coworker, and I can't tell if it's rubber or their actual skin. Get out of here, Elevation Burger. El Pollo Loco is a casual acquaintance. It's close to Hello HR, but it's never made me sick in the way that Jack in the Box did. Or in the way, it never wronged me in the way that Arby's did. I don't particularly like it. I think this is a thing by the time that I was in a place that had El Pollo Loco, there was just better Mexican food around for just as cheap. I think the thing that El Pollo Loco has over some other like fast, casual Mexican spots like Chipotle is that it's so much cheaper. But it just, the quality of when I've had it was so low that I was like, I can't do this. Hardee's and I will have a one night stand. Carl's Jr., famous for their extremely illicit and lewd advertisements during the 90s that made my God-fearing parents change the channel sometimes because they did not want to see Paris Hilton rubbing a burger over her barely clothed body. And that only made me want Carl's Jr. more. It felt illicit in a way. It is too expensive. It is absolutely too expensive. That is why it is a one-night stand and not a committed relationship. 100%. The guacamole bacon burger at Carl's Jr. for the longest time in high school, specifically when I was like had my didn't have bills or rent to pay and had like a part-time job, so I had tons of expendable income. I would go to Carl's Jr. maybe once a week. So we had this is a thing where it's like, oh, Carl's Jr. is like one that I had a long-term relationship with every once in a while, and every once in a while when they're in the area, I get a little like, hey, you up, when I see one on my phone. And it's complicated. There's a lot of feelings there. I like what we used to have together, but they've changed so much that it's just like, oh, you're not the you I used to know. You still have the same things on the menu. You still have the guacamole bacon burger, but it's dry now and it costs $18. Like, what changed? And it's just one of those things where I always regret it now when I have it. I'm like, I spent too much money for an extremely mid burger. I could have gotten something much better for much cheaper at local had I just been willing to like actually go into a store rather than sit in a drive-thru. I wish for nothing but for Carl's Jr. to lower the prices and up the quality again. But until it does either of those two things, it'll never be more than just a fling. Yeah, Carl's Jr. bread is definitely, there's been times where I've had it on road trips, especially where I'm like, oh, this is stale. But you know, I'm trying to look at these things holistically, not just my best experiences with them and not just my worst. Like really take in the breadth of our long-term relationship, which I probably have the most experience with Carl's Jr. out of any of these, because just the love for that guacamole bacon burger, it ran deep, and you can hear the grief in me now as I'm like processing it. I've never worked on this specific relationship with my therapist, but I miss Carl's Jr. I miss what we used to have. Call me Carl. Don't. See, I just go back and forth. Okay. I'm about to make a lot of people really mad. In-N-Out and I are better as friends. It is. Listen, yeah, it's not bad. I don't dislike In-N-Out. It's just, so I grew up on the West Coast, as we've been discussing, because a lot of this stuff is local, right? But I grew up on a part of the West Coast that did not have In-N-Out. In-N-Out is a California-only place. It is the best for the price. I think that's probably true. But it was hyped up to me by people who were California transplants in Oregon. And so the expectations, like they treated it like it was the second coming of Christ, which is wild because the people who were telling me about it were my youth pastors when I was going to the youth group, and they would speak about In-N-Out with the same reverence that they spoke about Jesus Christ. And so it got built up in my head. And I think the problem that I have with In-N-Out is, it was hyped up, and the lines are always a little too long. It's just one of those things of like, I have to wait a little too long, and this is my ADHD, this is my impatience. Maybe this is a me issue, you know, this is why we're better as friends. We're just not quite compatible. And it's not that anything is really wrong with either of us. It's just we're better as friends, you know? We get along, we hang out occasionally, but I can't commit to anything like that. And honestly, I never really want to try and push it beyond that because we're just not there. I was worried about this stream being short. Turns out I've got a lot of feelings about a lot of this stuff that I think we'll have to go faster for some of the things like the 120 Crayola colors. Jersey Mike's and I are a casual acquaintance. where did I put it's better than, I'm not ranking these, right? But like it's better than Jimmy John's, but we're still not close. Why is this hurting your feelings? Yeah, well, I'm personally attacking each and every one of you, saying that you're wrong. That's probably why. Is if you don't agree with this, you're just objectively wrong. This is certainly not subjective in any way. This is a factual finding about which fast food restaurant is the most fuckable. You know, it is what it is. Speaking of, listen, the Colonel is daddy, and all of that is finger licking good. We can move the popcorn. Inventing popcorn chicken, to my knowledge, that's probably colonialization, but you know, KFC, the double down, absolutely could double me down. You know, the popcorn chicken is so good. When it was the first time I ever had it, I was like going to karate when I was like 8 years old. The Famous Bowl is so good. I had never had one until Momo and I started dating. And then she was like, oh, well, you've had the Famous Bowl, right? If you like KFC. And I was like, no, what? And one day we were taking a train and there was a KFC at the train station. And I got a Famous Bowl. And it was absolutely delicious. Even though I'm pretty sure it made me sick later, it was still so good that I don't even mind. Which that's maybe I'm in a toxic, sensual, committed relationship with the Colonel. But listen, I can bring the Colonel home to my family and they would be delighted, right? A big old family bucket, everyone would be having a good time. I'm sorry, but Colonel is daddy. Krispy Kreme donuts, better than Dunkin', still not good. Casual acquaintance. Another thing that was very hyped up from Californian transplants into Oregon, when Oregon got their first ever Krispy Kreme, there was a line that was literally a 3-hour wait to get donuts. I don't think any donut is worth that. But it's fine. You know, there was a time in my life where I got 2 dozen donuts for like $10 because they were half off at the end of the day. And did I eat 24 Krispy Kreme donuts over the course of about 3 days? Let's not let he who has not eaten 24 Krispy Kreme donuts within 2 days cast the first stone. Long John Silver's one of those things where I really like seafood. And so literally just the fact of being a seafood fast food place places it as friends. Because I am such a fan of like popcorn shrimp, really any kind of shrimp. You give me shrimp, I'm happy. And so Long John Silver's, there was one close to where my best friend lived back in high school, and so I would get that while like traveling to visit him and stuff. That was a good time. McDonald's, wow, this is a big one, right? This is a big question. This is the granddaddy of all, like, you know, fast food. And there's parts of McDonald's that I love, right? There's parts of it that remind me of childhood, the play places that they no longer have because they're absolute like cesspool of bacteria. The McDonald's Sprite, better than any other Sprite in the world. Just the sheer amount of like soda, you know, or of like carbonation in it. Their fries are really good. A McChicken sandwich, excellent. But I just think I could never commit to McDonald's. Yeah, it's something that I get when I need a hug. That is such a excellent description. I think when I was eating McDonald's was at a like more regularly, was at a point where I needed a hug. It was actually when Momo and I were doing long distance. I would sometimes, that's probably the period in time where I ate more McDonald's. It was also High C orange drink and chicken McNuggets has fixed me before. Yeah, they used to, the chicken McNuggets, they also used to have, for a limited time, they had buttermilk chicken tenders. And their buttermilk chicken tenders were so good. And then they discontinued them because they had to use too high of a quality of meat to make it affordable. And so they didn't do it anymore. But that time was a good time. But I think all of that said, there's no spark between me and McDonald's. You know, there's like, I think, you know, a good friend that will give you a hug and be there when you're feeling down is great. But like, that's not the kind of person that you're going to be having a relationship with, you know? I will actually rank some of these. It's better than Burger King. I'll put In-N-Out right below. Sonic is here. I think Long John Silver's actually beats those out for me. And unfortunately, Boston Market is down at the bottom just because I don't really know her. And then, let's see, Panda Express. We've got... Panda Express is a tricky one. It's a little different, which is nice, right? But, honestly, I'm really thinking about it. Yeah, they've fallen off, but that orange chicken, though, exactly. Fried rice, it's pretty fried nice. It's probably One Night Stand. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it might be a thing where I might be into Panda Express more than Panda Express is into me. And by that, I mean it does bad things to me. But I try and like follow up with Panda Express after the One Night Stand. And like, to them, it was just a fling. So yeah, that's a One Night Stand. Some good stuff. I've had some really nice time, but I've also had a lot better. Even just like, you can get just about as good quality Panda, like kind of fast food Chinese food from like, if you have like a Safeway. Safeways have weirdly really good Chinese takeout, just like at their like deli counter. And I think I would take that over Panda Express. Trader Joe's orange chicken is good too. Yeah, if this was just grading orange chicken, sensual committed relationship. Absolutely. Panera Bread. I think Panera Bread, that's casual acquaintance. I don't think I've had it more than twice in my life. And each time a Panera Bread, I know the term liminal space gets overused a lot. Right? Where it's just like, oh, this place feels so between worlds. It feels like it doesn't really exist, or have, yes, Panera Bread is hospital food. Hospitals also have that liminal space energy. There is something so sterile inside of each Panera Bread. It feels like they're a sandwich store that is trying to have the vibe of a bookstore. And I don't understand it. Like, I don't want to read this sandwich. And for me, we're just casual acquaintances. I'll talk to them at a party and we'll say that we're going to get lunch sometime, and I never will. You spent so much time in Panera. There wasn't one close to me, growing up. Maybe I would feel differently. All right. We are about to hit our first break. We have not even finished the first tier list. Oh my goodness. But we'll just be back in about 3 minutes and, we'll power out the rest of this. All right. Do homework and get reliable coffee. See, that is a bookstore. Panera Bread is a bookstore. I will not explain further. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a good time. I just wanted to say that. I just appreciate y'all being here. This is delightful. I'm having it's just fun chatting about fast food. I mean, it makes sense. Fast food is something that we all share and can relate to, you know? And all have our own stories and histories with. But I'm just really enjoying this. And I wanted to say thank you all for joining today. Now let's talk about how I want to fuck Popeyes. Absolutely. You know what? I know it's cliche, right? For like a white guy to be like, but Popeyes though. Popeyes is probably, in my opinion, I like it more than KFC, but I think it does worse things to me. Popeyes and I are in a toxic relationship, but it's a fun one nonetheless. It's spicy, And that's the way I like it. So Popeyes and I going hard. Especially their spicy fries, very tasty. If you've not partaken in Popeyes in some time and you like popcorn chicken, I recommend it. It's not too expensive either. Like, I actually think KFC is a little bit pricier. And so Popeyes is a great, that is my late night. If Taco Bell is not available, I will hope a Popeyes is. Tried it for the first time last year. It's a good time. I know it's not for everyone, because not everyone likes spicy. And it is fairly greasy. I'm not even gonna lie and say that it's not. But you get some of the you get their popcorn chicken, you get one spicy chicken sandwich, you get some Cajun fries, and you get like an ice cold Sprite. Oh, that's a meal I could settle down with. Now, would I live very long with a meal like that? Absolutely not. But with that, you know, knowing that that's waiting at home for me, I'd come home from work happy every day, you know? So, committed relationship. Speaking of committed relationships, here's my wild sandwich take, y'all. I like Quiznos subs because they are good to us. They're crispy and they're crunchy and they're really, really yummy. And now, I don't know if anyone remembers that weird hamster commercial from the 90s about Quiznos subs, where the hamsters had weird human eyeballs and they were kind of doing like an annoying orange situation with the eyes and mouth overlay of these hamsters that are playing guitar, singing about how much they love Quiznos. But absolutely, Quiznos is the one that got away in like the way of like, you really had something and they were taken before their time. You know, like it's a real shame. They were trying to compete with Subway, and Subway won, despite being far and away a worse sandwich experience. The toasted subs at Quiznos are one of the most incredible, like, they were the best sandwiches. The pepperoni of a Quiznos sub sandwich, like, I would get this spicy Italian sandwich that blew my mind every time I had it. I never disliked that spicy Italian. Also, did it sometimes give me indigestion? Did it once? Hey, this is gonna be hey, this is the moment of TMI. Okay, so like, if you don't want to hear it, close your ears for like 15 seconds. Did it once give me gas so bad that my entire family had to pull over the car and unroll all the windows because the fart was so bad? Yes. But I love Quiznos for that. It's a fond memory, not a negative one. We all have that one, you know? Yeah. Maybe it's because Quiznos was taken from us so soon, like before their prime, that I feel this fondness towards them, that I like, you know, there was never a chance for Quiznos to go downhill. And in that respect, you know, there will always be a place in my heart for those Quiznos subs. Raising Cane's is, I've only had it once. So in a very literal sense, it's a one-night stand. It spited you? How has it spoke you, Quinn? Yeah, if Quiznos won, it would have gone down a hill. You know, you either die a hero, you die a lover, or you live long enough to see yourself become a hater. So I've only had Raising Cane's once, so this is kind of an uninformed opinion. I enjoyed it that once, but one time I ordered food from them and they did not give me my food. Instead, it was just a box of little cups of cane sauce. Wow. Okay, you know what? I'm not saying that all of these are community lists, but sometimes you hear something from a friend about someone and you're like, oh, I thought I knew them better. You know, I was kind of interested in them. I can't believe they just would ghost you like that. And that makes you think like maybe you actually shouldn't pursue the relationship any further. And that's what we're doing with Raising Cane's here. Because I don't have much of a personal connection, I just had it one time, late night in Brooklyn, It was great. I feared for my life, but it was delicious. It wasn't even that delicious. It was not as good as KFC or Popeyes, in my opinion. It was much greasier, and the time of day was bad. You know, we're talking at like midnight. I'm coming home from something, like in college, and getting it because nothing else is open, and it had certainly been sitting in a bag or whatever for a long time. Ordered it once and just did not get any food, just drinks. That is drinks and cane sauce. Unhinged. You know what happened is, wait, did you order it and get it delivered? I had food there. I ate. I had like a 4-piece. Okay, so if you had it delivered, the thing. Hey, Penguin, what's up? We got an objectively correct list here so far. So if you had it delivered, I think your delivery driver ate the food. They saw some Raisin Canes and were like, hey, I've heard this is good. But yeah, they've broken your heart too many times. It happens. It happens, you know? At a certain point, you know, trust is hard earned and easily broken. That's what they always say. And so, you know, you can't be in a deeper relationship. You have to just be friends with somebody. If you can't trust them, you might not even be friends. But Steak and Shake, literally don't know her. Casual acquaintance, I've heard the name. I've heard of people like talking about, like, I've heard of people talking about Steak and Shake. Literally know nothing about it. You're throwing Raisin Canes into HR. We've dropped it down from a one-night stand to better as friends. So, maybe with further information, you know, I mean, it seems like y'all have the receipts quite literally, about some poor experiences, but, Steak and Shake is endorsed by the current health secretary. Interesting. And we all, interesting. Okay. Well, you know, moving it for a reason, let's just say. It's because they switched from oil to beef tallow. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing from just reading that. I don't know enough about oil or beef tallow. But given how I feel about current things and, you know, positions, I'm inclined to drop it down here if certain people are endorsing it. Speaking of bad endorsements, Subway. Listen, I think Subway should be at the top of everybody's HR list. They, you know, there was a lot. I've had good Subway experiences, but I've had more negative Subway experiences overall. And now that smell, I know some people really love it, you know, maybe are nostalgic for it. But also just like, hey, Subway, you have a history that you have not accounted for, you have not owned up to in any way. And maybe that's because you're a brand and you don't feel any ownership over the actions of certain individuals or spokespeople. But I will never look at you the same way. And so you're just on a list, is what I'm saying. Subway, you're on a list. Taco Bell, I mean, we all can agree here, right? Subway's that weird uncle, absolutely. The one that you're like told not to be alone with for too long. Ooh, making an old-fashioned but didn't have any orange to peel, so you decided to try it with watermelon cucumber juice from Trader Joe's, and that sounds ooh. Oh, Momo, I mean, there's just a history with Subway, right? And like their spokespeople and such that I can never look at them the same way. And so they just need to be, HR needs to be involved. They at least need to be notified of this person's past. And I won't be able to bring myself to develop a relationship with them. I know people do have fondness for it, but it's just not for me. If we're talking sandwiches, I'm a Quiznos guy. Yes, that, Colin, that idea of watermelon cucumber juice that sounds really good. Cucumber goes weirdly really well with a lot of cocktails. If you ever want a little treat, cucumber and gin, muddled cucumber and gin with some lime juice is like a really fantastic cocktail that I really enjoy. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but muddled cucumber goes really, really well with gin specifically. Your mom told you that when she was pregnant, she ate nothing but Taco Bell for months, so now you feel like Taco Bell is in your veins. That's me and York peppermint patties. Apparently my mom had like the biggest craving for York peppermint patties when she was pregnant with me, and now each time I have one, I feel like a baby. Like, and I don't know how to describe that other than like, I'm like, this is because I don't have them very regularly. I'm like, I feel like I am new to this world after eating a York peppermint patty. I'm like, wait, why am I seeing the light through the fresh eyes of an infant all of a sudden? I'm restored and rejuvenated. That this York peppermint patty cast a greater restoration on my soul. So listen, I know I'm in a lot of relationships. We might have to move around. Yes, a Ratatouille moment. A Ratatouille moment all the way back to the womb. Just going all the way back. They don't show that part. Now Wendy's, I know I'm in a lot of committed relationships. Maybe we'll filter this down at the end because, you know, I'm saying yes to a lot of dates to the dance. I get that. Wendy's and I go back. It's probably Wendy's and Hardee's that I have the most experience with, just overall. Wendy's, Hardee's, KFC, Cinnabon. Probably and I go with the farthest back. Oh, the Wendy's we order from cannot get the balance of their soda's water right. Interesting. So it's been a long time since I've been with Wendy's. But there was a Wendy's that I knew in high school. That was my high school sweetheart. If this is the metaphor we're using. Their spicy nugs were the best I've ever had. Their chocolate Frosties, unbeatable. It is also the food that has carried me through international flights many a time. The first time I ever flew internationally, and I went to Japan in high school, I knew I was going to be on like this 13-hour flight, and I didn't know what to eat. None of the breakfast options sounded good to me. And then I got to the end of the terminal, right to where my flight was going to be taking off. And there was a Wendy's right there that had just opened up. And even though it was 10 in the morning, they were serving their full menu. And I had a double bacon cheeseburger and a chocolate Frosty at 10 in the morning before flying to Japan. And it was incredible. You would think that that's a recipe for disasters. So this wasn't in Japan. This was in America on a flight right before going to Japan. Yeah, both of you have clearly had a Japan Wendy's experience. I did not have that. I didn't eat at Wendy's in Japan. This was on my flight too. And it was just there for me in exactly the way I needed. I have also once rubbed spicy chicken nuggets over a friend's chest before for a film that we did in film class for cinema. Obviously, I got in trouble with the teacher for creating such provocative and dubious material. I don't think that teacher ever liked or trusted me after making that. But you know what? Oh, no. I am aware of you and Quinn, yeah. Being married together. Yeah, 100%. I thought it was very cute. Yes, 100%. Yeah, so I have gotten in trouble. Wendy's is like the bad girl who was like a bad influence on me because I liked her so much, right? I could make her better, she could make me worse. Either way, we're in a committed relationship. Wetzel's Pretzels. Casual acquaintance. Let's be honest. Unfortunately, Wetzel's has lost the pretzel war between Auntie Anne's. It's not the same. I don't know. I barely have even seen a Wetzel's Pretzels. And when I have, they have not had the allure of Auntie Anne's pretzel dogs. You know, I've just never felt the pull in that way. I've seen it, I'm like, oh, hey, you know, you kind of like wave at the casual acquaintance that you know, but you're not going across the party to talk to them, catch up, see how they're doing. That's Wetzel's Pretzels. If you want a savory pretzels, you want Wetzel's a sweet pretzel, you want Auntie Anne's. Now that's fascinating. You know, maybe I should give Wetzel a chance. But I've with my current level of knowledge, we're just acquaintances. Now this is quickly becoming either I haven't had it or I've had it and it's, you know. Hey, Bengalin. Pepperoni pretzel sounds delicious. Oh, I mean, y'all are talking Wetzel's up. Okay, we got some friends of friends here. Listen, if Wetzel's get the bites and get the cinnamon, salted cinnamon sugar, that sounds interesting. I'm hearing conflicted reports on whether people like salty or savory for Wetzel. Apparently, Wetzel's got a little bit to offer everyone, and I've maybe been sleeping. You know when you have a friend, or like a friend of a friend, who then you finally talk to, and then you're like, oh, wait. Are you actually fantastic and we've just never had a conversation longer than 5 minutes? That is how I'm feeling for Wetzel's Pretzels right now. I'll give Wetzel's a chance next time I see one. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Wetzel's is going right in between In-N-Out and Sonic. And just like friends of friends that maybe I need to take a little bit time to get to know a little bit more, you know? Puffier than Auntie Anne's. That sounds pretty good, honestly. I don't mind a puffy pretz. Whataburger. Now this has to be casual acquaintance. I've literally only ever heard of Whataburger. I've never eaten one. That's a southern thing, right? Whataburger is like Texas, from my understanding. I don't know her. I've heard of it from people. But so it's not directly into HR. I think the people who like Whataburger really like Whataburger. So I've heard good things, but now Whataburger is also it's really hard to say. Whataburger. It was very bad, but I was told that all the Oklahoma branches are very bad. That's okay. Hey gang, listen, this is not a slam to anyone from the Midwest, but there is something going on with Midwest food chains. Specifically like Kansas, Oklahoma. I'm talking like Bible Rust Belt situation here, where I'm not speaking from personal experience, but Momo was telling me about a time that they went to a Shake Shack actually Shake Shack's not on here. That's interesting. We'll have to add that. Where they went to a Shake Shack in Kansas and were informed that the burger only comes with meat, cheese, and a bun. Literally nothing. It does not come with like tomato. It does not come with pickles. It does not come with onion. Any of the things that a normal like In-N-Out burger would come with. And you had to ask for that all specifically because people within that area were so specific about wanting plain burgers and nothing else, just meat, bread, and cheese. And I don't know if this is like a broader thing throughout like the Bible Rust Belt, but it seems like maybe, because the people that I've talked to from that region all like their food that way. Whataburger has been nice in your area. Okay, you know, so I'm gonna just leave it as casual acquaintance. I don't know enough about Whataburger to make an informed opinion. That's along with which is another where I'm like, this is somebody who's pretending to be a chain. You know, like we're seeing that with Elevation Burger. Yeah, somebody wanted to dry empty basically just meat, cheese, and a bun, and like a lot of the people that I know from like the Midwest to like kind of like southern Midwest are are like that. That's what they go for. Wait, I'll allow the term pervert, especially for tonight. The perverts, welcome. Don't clip that. 07 Witch. I loved it, but they were so expensive and the one near me closed. I just am unfamiliar with their game. This is another situation of, yeah, the dry burger people are, yeah, absolutely food perverts. Yeah, no one, you shouldn't want it that dry. This is I'm feeling this way about Elevation Burger. I just don't know you, and it's weird that you're insisting that you're, I've literally never heard of you. So, oh, apparent, is Witch around? I guess this is a blank spot for me. So, I in good consciousness, cannot put it to casual acquaintance because literally before this conversation had never even heard about it. It's so expensive. Okay, you know what? For like, for what am I thinking of? For probably being all like a money laundering scheme for how expensive it is. Calling HR. They're doing something with the books at Witch is what I'm gathering. Zaxby's, casual acquaintance. I've heard of it. I know it's a chicken place. Never had it. So that's, you know, I know we're not ending on the most exciting ones here. But some of these are just like, wait, what? $21 for basically a turkey bacon ranch sandwich. That is airport prices for food. That's wild. Oh, I just realized chat's not on screen. Oh, whoops. I just built this scene earlier and I do want to capture chat. So let me bring up chat overlay real quick. That way for all of the future conversations, you know, just in case it becomes relevant. In case I need to scold any of you at any point. And White Castle. White Castle and I have a complicated relationship. There was a White Castle across the street from my college dorm. And, you know, that is the recipe for a Harold and Kumar escapade. I didn't really like it. Yes, goes up the list depending on how drunk you are, 100%. So, freshman college, like a freshman year in college, there was a White Castle right across the street, and I was like, this is fine, but yeah, it's so greasy. It's really cheap, which is great for a college freshman, but it was just never the thing that I wanted. But it was the thing that my extremely well-off, extremely stoned college suite mate who like lived in the like adjacent kind of like apartment dorm would often want. And so because our rooms were connected through the bathroom, every once in a while he would just kind of like walk into me and my roommate's dorm, just absolutely stoned out of his mind, looked at us with like half barely open eyes and be like, "You guys want White Castle?" And we would kind of look at each other. We're like, "I think I'm okay, man." And then he's like, "I'm paying." And we're like, "I guess we're going to White Castle." And then we would all get like 6 burgers each, you know, and just slam them down at like 11 p.m. Pretty good time. I don't even think it's a one night stand, but I do think White Castle and I could be decent friends, you know, friends of friends. And I think exactly, it's like, yeah, starts at hello HR, and if you're blackout drunk, it's a committed relationship. Exactly. If you get too drunk, you accidentally propose to White Castle and you wake up in Vegas with the paperwork completed. That is the White Castle vibe. Now, okay, here's the thing I'm saying. We don't have Shake Shack. If anyone else also has recommendations of like chains that we're missing, feel free to drop it in. And I can like try and grab an image of it real quick. But does Shake Shack not have it has a logo, right? Yeah, okay. Save image as. Yeah, I think we've got most of it. Shake Shack was just the one that came up in conversation, and so I was like, I'm surprised that this isn't here. Whereas so far, I feel like Taco Deli I've never even heard of. So that would be, I don't know that one. I know Taco Time, which was like an Oregon chain. Oh, Del Taco is quite specific. That is, Taco Time was very good. There is still Taco Times in Oregon. If you ever make it up to Oregon, I can point you in the direction of a Taco Time. You can get their, oh gosh, what did they call them? They called them Mexi fries, which is probably extremely problematic. Oh, you lived in Oregon for 4 years. Yeah, at 100%. Taco Time was like, it was like, what if Taco Bell was healthy? Or healthier, used more like fresh ingredients, and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna put Shake Shack as better as friends. Honestly, Shake Shack is probably the fast food that I eat the most as an adult currently. I'm like relatively close to one. It delivers quickly for when I just like need a chicken. The thing I get is the chicken bacon burger. Pretty good. I enjoy it. The thing that I cannot raise it any higher is the price. Shake Shack is pretty expensive for the quality and the quantity of food. And honestly, the fries at Shake Shack suck. Like, let's just be real. How often, like, I feel like I can count the number of times I've gotten good, fresh, crispy fries from Shake Shack on one hand. And they just need to improve their fry game terribly, because like any of the cheese fries and stuff are just so soggy, it's basically inedible. Taco Bell is one of the only fast food places that's vegan friendly because they don't cook in beef oil. That's fascinating. Hey, you know what? Good on you, Taco Bell. I'm not sure how many veggie options there are at a Taco Bell, but there's got to be some that are like bean burritos and stuff, right? Like bean and cheese. Honestly, maybe more than you would get at other places. That's good to know. All right, well, here is our objectively correct list. Oh, you can replace anything on the page. Wow, I didn't know that. You know what? Hey, you know, it's a committed relationship. We stan a thoughtful vegan king. And he's wearing the bell as a little crown. Crunch wrap with potatoes instead of beef. I think that would be too many potatoes for me. I don't think I would particularly love that sort of flavor for myself. But it's great that it's an option, you know? We love someone who gives us options. It's very thoughtful. Even when you're like, no, you don't need to do that for me. I know you're trying to be very thoughtful and kind, but get your food thought outs without being asked to leave. No, this is a open and welcoming space for all sorts of takes tonight. That's the vibe. I'm gonna save this so that we have it for posterity. What? Oh, it's just taking me to another page. No, I don't need an extra. So here's the thing about this website. Oh my goodness. Tier Maker is like, what if we put ads on ads on ads? But luckily, if you go into this presentation mode, they hide all of that. But the second you try and go away from presentation mode for a second, they hit you like 4 ads at once. yes, food is good, and we shouldn't judge food folks on how they eat. 100%. Unfortunately, we're not eating anything tonight. If you really this isn't eating we're doing here. We're in committed relationships, one night stands. We're developing friendships with these. And so, you know, there are wrong friends to have. I don't know if I believe that, actually. I'm just saying words right now. But continuing, let's see. Let's actually we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot of options. So let's do some of the community submitted is the word I was looking for. Tier lists here. Let's keep that food train rolling, right? We've got canned foods. And this is going to be an interesting one because honestly, I don't think I've had that many canned foods. And so I don't recognize all of these just from like the little image. And if there's one complaint I have about this like website is that all of the images are too small and I'm an old man who can't see. And so but let's get canned. There's some easy ones, right? Some absolute easy ones. Gosh, I say that and then get overwhelmed by all of these options, right? Wow. I said there was easy ones. I feel like these are hard. This is harder than the fast food because I honestly I have less experience with a lot of these. So let's start with ones I do have experience with. So if you know me, you'll know I love canned tuna. I love a tuna melt. Absolutely. To eat? Yes, 100%. To join in a union together? I don't think I could handle what it does to my breath and the way it smells. To be physical with tuna in that way. And so I think tuna and I are better as friends. You know, it's never a good idea to take it to that level with tuna. It just lingers. You know, you can't get tuna out of your home. Oh yeah, no, I will say there are two that are actually quite easy. Peach slices is going all... Oh, I popped the entire window out accidentally. Of household appliances, not what I meant to do. Oh boy. Let me zoom out a little bit. And also take a little sippy. I've been talking, I haven't been drinking. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Pangolin. Seafood is one of my personal favorites. I am a big seafood fan. But my mother is like deathly allergic to shellfish. And so anytime that we go anywhere with seafood whatsoever, she's so allergic that she has to be like, yeah, a lot of people are allergic to fish. My Japan was a PvP zone. Wow, no doubt that makes it really difficult, no doubt. I am like squid, octopus, yes, all of that, please. Have to push my teeth. Oh yeah, brush your teeth. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. My mom like couldn't even have like foods prepared on the same board as shellfish and stuff. So that's a big one. And you know, it makes it hard when you can't take someone home to your parents. And in that way, you know, canned tuna, pretty difficult. So it's one of those things where you need, it's just not the right fit for our life together. I was with my family in Washington and had oysters, both raw and Rockefeller style. Ooh, that sounds very, very good. I love oysters. Oysters, mussels, octopus, squid. Like, give it all to me. If y'all don't want it, whenever I go to like night markets and stuff, I always get like a giant squid on a stick. I also, growing up in the Pacific Northwest, salmon is like steak to me. That is the thing that I will want and have so much more of a preference of how my salmon is cooked than how I feel about steak. That's just, I think just growing up in that area gave me like very specific preferences towards all of that. But I, man, love it. Had shark before. Ooh, don't suggest getting it, finding it now, because yeah, that's, you know, I might have had shark fin when I was in Japan in high school. And I remember wondering about the ethics of it, but then being like, well, it's already being offered to me, so I guess I'll try it. I think lutefisk, or like fermented shark in the Netherlands is like a lot more ethical of consumption of that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, questionable sometimes. Fried apples with cinnamon. Oh, I talked about this before, but I love apples, and apples with cinnamon, like apple cider is mulled apple cider is one of my favorite foods of all time, or favorite drinks of all time. Because my family has an apple cider press that my dad bought back in the 90s out of a newspaper ad. We press every year like hundreds of pounds of apple, or we used to press hundreds of pounds of apples. Now we press like maybe 200, which I guess is still hundreds of pounds of apples. Which you think sounds like a lot, and it's actually just a few crates of apples. Apples are heavy. And we turn that into cider every year, and then my dad turns some of that into hard cider. And we like brine our turkey in apple cider during Thanksgiving and stuff, and so good. My mom makes all sorts of apple treats. It is like, it's our family's like Thanksgiving and like Oktoberfest, essentially. And it's so tasty. And so I just have a deep fondness and like nostalgia for apples. And so we are in a committed relationship. Oh gosh. Mini ravioli and beefaroni. Are these not the same things? So I am unfamiliar with Boyardee's game. But I think just looking at it, off of sheer vibes of these cans, I'm going to put beefaroni in casual acquaintance, and I'm gonna put mini ravioli at a one night stand. Really? Okay. Beefaroni S tier, ravioli is like B tier. Interesting. So I'm not ranking these off of flavor. This is a vibe check for me. Ravioli looks like it would be fun to fool around with, is all I'm gonna say. Whereas the beefaroni looks like it wouldn't do much for me. Purely not off of food. Boyardee is the bit of Boyardee I've had, I've not been a huge fan of. But I also think I tried to eat it cold when I was like a child, and after that it just never worked, you know? Like I did the thing that they do in like the commercial where you just pop off the lid and eat it cold with a spoon, because it can be eaten that way, and I'm pretty sure I nearly raltzed. Which I don't, is it Ralphed or Raltzed? Raltz is the Pokemon, it can't be Raltzed. Well, I almost raltzed. Peach slices, committed relationship, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Especially maybe not a hot take, actually. I don't know the temperature of this take. Somebody please stick a thermometer in this take and tell me. But canned peaches are better than actual peaches. They're always, it's always soft, whereas like half the time I'm eating a peach, it's like too firm. I didn't wait long enough because I'm impatient, you know? And, yeah, okay, I'm glad Yeah, and the syrup amplifies it 100%. We get a little bit of like, it's saucy, you know, it's soft, it's supple, you know. Canned peaches can get it, is what I'm saying. Satisfaction of biting into peaches' weird hairy skin. Okay. Extremely personal thing about me. I like eating kiwis that way. I know I'm a freak. I know you're supposed to peel kiwis, but I will bite into and eat a kiwi like it is an apple, and I get a weird kick out of it. The fuzz on the kiwi makes... Do many people do that? I get looked at like I'm an alien from outer space when I take a bite out of a kiwi like an apple. People look at me like I have just exposed myself to them. When I eat a kiwi like that. They recoil in fear and horror, like Frankenstein. Oh, yeah. Kiwis are really, I really enjoy. Extremely good flavor combination that I kind of found out by accident in high school is kiwi and Dr. Pepper. If you take a sip of Dr. Pepper and a bite of kiwi at the same time, you kind of whoosh them together in your mouth. That is such a good time. Honestly, now I haven't thought about that flavor combo in a while, but it's something I used to do all the time in high school. And now I'm wondering, because whiskey and Dr. Pepper are also tasty, because, you know, and now I'm wondering, hey, how would all three of those flavors taste mixed a little together? At some point, I would love to do like if I ever figure out how to do hand cam stuff, I would love to do a little mixology stream too sometime. I think that'd be another fun Freaky Friday thing to do, where people in chat could force me to do weird mixes and stuff like that. Obviously, we wouldn't go super hard, be doing sips, you know, and pacing ourselves and everything. But I think that would be a lot of fun. Oh yeah, Quinn, I'd love to pick your brain about that sometime. Continuing on with the cans, mac and cheese, squishy, squelchy, feel good time. Don't ask any further, you know. Asked and answered. I do think it's right up there with peach slices and fried apples. I think what's this? Canned chicken breast is an HR complaint for me. Yeah, I won't get behind mac and cheese in a can eating wise, but as a lover, you know? Actually, you know what? This is a great point. I don't know enough about it. It's probably going to be a one night stand. Meat in a can is always dubious for sure. It's done well and it's done poorly. Never had canned meat like that outside of Vienna sausages. So I have had canned chicken before. It's too wet, and it's wet, but it's still dry, and it's this paradoxical kind of thing where it's like it's sitting in liquid, and so you're like, theoretically, this meat should have some moisture to it, you know, when I put it in my mouth, and then you take a single bite of the chicken. And you're like, this is the driest chicken I've ever eaten in my life. And it's somehow making me actively thirsty while still making like everything else around it wet. And it doesn't make sense. And so you need to call HR because it's sort of breaking a Euclidean space with its liquid. Get checked on, chicken. Yeah, dry but goopy is an unpleasant physical feeling, 100%, and somehow it gets everywhere. I don't know how, but authorities need to get involved. Yeah, think of like the whole chicken in a can. It's like processed down to a point beyond recognition. Either you're like, is this white meat? Is this dark meat? It's this weird, like, in between liminal meat of gray space. Artichoke hearts? Now that's interesting. I like artichokes and artichoke hearts, but they're really acidic. They're really vinegary. And I think that, you know what? This is a one night stand as well. This is something that I would eat too many of, get sick, and regret my choices. And if that's not a one night stand, what is, you know? Horned chili, or Hormel chili. It's not horned chili. That's what we're talking about. Okay. This is another maybe hot take. I don't like chili. I think that basically every time I eat chili, I would rather be eating something else. It's one of those, it's too many beans for me. And I can have beans when they're not the main aspect of something, you know, like beans in a taco, beans in a burrito. Totally fine. See, I also never had a great family chili, situation. So Momo, you say that, but you know that at your bridal shower, I was at a chili festival with my father while your bridal shower was happening, in which I tried about 20 different chilies, and I liked maybe 2 of those 20 chilies. So there are chilies where I'm like, yeah, this is pretty decent, but it's usually chili that's filled with so much stuff, so much meat, that it's like basically bordering on like a meat stew and not a chili. Yeah, Fritos changed the game, but because there's no Fritos in this can, I don't know if it's a me problem, let's say. I think maybe, you know, chili and I can just have our differences. You know, chili hasn't wronged me in the same way. It's not as bad as canned chicken. I would rather have canned chili than canned chicken breast, that's for sure. I can tolerate chili. I cannot tolerate canned chicken breast. Ooh, canned adobo peppers. That does sound good. I like canned peppers. I don't know if we'll see them here because that's not. Well, maybe we'll have to add those in. Whole kernel corn. Now see, here's the thing. Creamed corn would be another story, right? Am I right? You know, gamers? Everyone can understand that cream corn would be a different story. Yes, I had to add the corned beef hash because it wasn't originally on this list. Committed relationship for you. Fascinating. This would also be a committed relationship for our bird Ollie. Corn is canned, like whole kernel corn is one of his favorite foods. Can't stand most corn. That is a hot take. I don't love all corn, but I think creamed corn is fun in like mixed into something like a shepherd's pie. And then I love just a whole corn on the cob. Can absolutely get behind. Yeah, Ollie loves corn. It is like his favorite treat. He weirdly hates basically all other food. The 2 human foods that he likes are granola and corn. When he sees corn, he will just absolutely go ballistic. Like he gets a wild feral look in his eye when he gets corn. And then it makes his beak sticky, and then like all of his seeds like get stuck to his face, which is very cute. He ends up looking like Cookie Monster post cookie like devouring. It has a flavor like burned away by heat. Interesting. I really like specifically the corn on the cob that I like has to be. It's like corn on the cob from a grill, right? Like that charcoal grilled corn is so good. Yeah, Mexican street corn. Exactly. That kind of like, it's like blackened to a point. So good. Fruit cocktail. Ooh. Now, I think fruit cocktail and I honestly, I enjoy a nice like cup of fruit, you know, that kind of like fruit cocktail that you would get in like school lunches sometime. I can see that being more than just a one night stand, but I think it's so one note because despite having multiple fruit, let's face it, fruit cocktail is a single flavor. And it's a good time, but it's not something you want for a long time. Yes, exactly. No texture. 100%. You realize like what a simple existence, like what a simple life it's lived before you met, and you just like, you know, you're like, oh, you know, you're fun, and you're sweet, you know, but we just don't have any shared experiences. We don't have anything in common. We don't have anything to talk about. That's us in fruit cocktail. French style green beans. Now I don't know what makes these green beans French, but I'd like to French these green beans. Canned green beans, weirdly really good. Weirdly really good. One of those things that like I didn't like growing up, and then as I became an adult and wanted to eat more vegetables, I mean, I'll paint these green beans like one of my French girls. You know, if that is how they're cut, you know, the French are very fashionable, so I'm sure it's a stylish cut. Yeah, canned green beans are one of those things where, listen, I would prefer fresh green beans, sure. Like blanched and then like roasted, fantastic. But I love a good bean. And so I would have a surprisingly long-term relationship with green beans, I feel like. Which, man, what a sentence. This is why we do this stream. This is orange pieces in a cup, I think is what's going on here. This is like fruit cocktail, but just oranges. And we're just better as friends because these oranges never taste like oranges. Yeah, the mandarin oranges in syrup never taste like actual oranges to me. It again has this fruit cocktail like effect, right? Where like the syrup has changed the physical being of the orange, and I would so much rather just eat an actual orange. I love actual oranges. A clementine, absolutely. That's childhood for you. See, I didn't have them very often. The time I would have them is like after a soccer practice, maybe. You know, if that's what somebody brought. But it just like, it was not in the house growing up. I guess maybe it makes sense that it was more common in California where oranges were maybe cheaper. But it was just not, I would always rather have like a clementine or like an actual orange, much as I'd much rather have an actual green bean. But I think the comparative closeness of a fresh green bean to a canned green bean, there's some overlap there. Whereas I feel like this is an entirely different flavor and texture experience. Canned oranges and put them in salads and nuts. See, that is good. That's a transformative experience. I definitely have had clementines and like this kind of like orange in salads, and that's a good time. But like, that's when you're there at a party with all those other foods. You're not having these on their own. You're not at home alone in bed late at night having a conversation with these mandarin oranges. Because you're just like, you're just honestly sickeningly sweet. That kind of sweet where you're like, this feels forced. And you have nothing, you don't have nuance, right, to your opinions about the world. Sweet peas. I mean, it's a cute nickname, right? And so because of that, you're like, well, it feels like it would be at least a one night stand because you're just calling somebody sweet pea. That's cute. I think for me though, I've just never been a fan. Peas are like, they're a friend of a friend who, you always have them with mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes is always around. And when you don't have mashed potatoes there, you realize that you have no common ground with sweet peas. You're like, you kind of on your own. You're a little hard to get a handle on, right? You can't quite get the scoop on sweet peas. They're always all over the place a little bit. It's just not for me. Now, refried beans. I know I was talking some smack about beans earlier in the chili conversation, the Charlie conversation, as I was about to say. But Rosarita refried beans and I are in a serious, sensual, committed relationship. A pea salad. That's fascinating. I've never heard of such a thing. But that I'm fascinated by the concept. Peas is like the base of a salad? That's fascinating. Rosarita refried beans could get it basically any day of the week. They're so good. I'll eat them on their own. I'll have them and just heat them up in a pan, in a bowl. We're about to hit an ad, so we'll be back in like 3 minutes. And if you need another beverage, top yourself up. And then we'll finish off this list, get to crayons, and then we're gonna speed run crayons. It's gonna be all vibes, no discussion, because there's so many of them. But it'll be a good time. And then we'll get to household appliances and Monster Hunter monsters. It's going later than I thought it would, but I'm having a good time, so I'm gonna keep it rolling. I accidentally put my headphones on, which I've not been using for this stream, and then moved my mic away. Like I didn't, like somehow my headphones were my mic. And that's how you know. That's how, you know, I'm having a good time with this Oaxacan old fashioned and judging these canned meats. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Thanks y'all for joining me again. Let's just jump right back into it. Sardines. Now, I've recently begun a little bit of a love affair with sardines. So I'm going to put it at a one night stand because I've been really enjoying sardines lately. Now, this is a similar problem that I feel like we're going to run into with tuna, right? Where a lot of people are going to be just allergic to seafood, allergic to any sort of like fish and stuff. But sardines, the thing that I've learned is that they are an enormous source of protein. 3 sardines are 20 grams of protein, which is nearly an entire protein shake's worth of protein. And so if you were going to get sardines, the ones I just kind of raw dog them, which is why it's a one night stand, obviously. But I just get canned sardines, pop them open, eat them with a fork. I know a lot of people, that's a little hardcore for them. Crackers and hot sauce. If you're a person who likes spicy, you can get sometimes sardines that my first ever time with sardines was they had been canned in hot sauce oil, which was really, really good. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah, raw dog sardine at first blush. Absolutely. That's how I do. I need them fish oils for my joints and stuff. My servos require the fish oil to, you know, get loosey goosey. And so, sardines, the reason that it's not a committed relationship is honestly, I'm kind of new with them again. I haven't had them in a long time, and I kind of sometimes overindulge myself in sardines, and they make my breath smell terrible. And so it's hard when you can't take your lover out in public because of the same reasons that we talked about for tuna. It's the reason that sardines don't make it up to a committed relationship, because you just can't take them out in public anywhere. You know, everybody starts giving you looks because you brought a stinky little fish out to the party, and it's a little embarrassing, to be honest. You know, you don't want sardines to change for you, and it really is a me problem of, you know, feeling self-conscious about that, but it's also knowing where I am in my life. And so I just can't get too serious with sardines right now. But listen, a delightful side piece. Spaghetti, Campbell's spaghetti and meatballs. Unfamiliar with this game. It doesn't look appetizing. Just on the can, like if we really zoom in here, this is like airbrushed. So it's SpaghettiOs and meatballs. Yes. Oh, I do know SpaghettiOs. I guess I just wasn't expecting it to be SpaghettiOs, but it is. It absolutely is. So I know SpaghettiOs. I haven't had them probably since I was around 6 or 7 years old. They're terrible, and they're one of those kids' foods that you will absolutely eat. You know what? I've got one that I'm going to need to add to this list for later, and you'll all see and understand exactly why I needed to do it. It's not technically canned, but you'll get it. Yeah, and they are the friend next door, but you visit like 20 years later and catch up. And I think the thing with me and SpaghettiOs is I catch up and I say, this was really great. We can't let so much time pass again. And then I forget that SpaghettiOs ever existed. Just because we weren't that close as children. You know, they were down the street a little bit. We weren't in the same year. And so it just was like, oh, they've grown up into a great person, but it's just not, I don't think we're going to connect like that at this point. And now before I get to hot and spicy spam, I do think I need to judge original spam. And this is one where, if you are unfamiliar with Spam's game, as I was back when I first had it, of course, you are always unfamiliar until your first interaction with something. To me, Spam had always been a joke, right? It was this thing that people like laughed about and like were like, oh, well, at least it's not Spam, you know, in kind of reference to other food and how bad it was. And it always looked super unappealing because it just like the first time I ever saw Spam, it was coming straight out of the can as this sloppy, wet meat that was just like compacted and compressed and looked like a weird tube of bologna or something. And I was just like, what? Why would anyone ever eat this incredibly like processed artificial meat? And then I went to college. And as you do in college, you experiment a little. You know, you're trying new things, you're meeting new people, you're seeing walks of life that are a little different than yours. And you meet someone that says, oh, you've never had Spam? Would you like to try it fried? You know? And then all of a sudden, you're like, it's a she's all that moment of Spam, where Spam takes off the glasses, lets down their hair, starts sizzling on the pan. The smell of like bacon, it fills the room, because really what it is it's just processed pork. And you realize, wow, Spam has been beautiful and hot all this time. All you needed to do was give it a little sear, and it becomes delicious. And it's basically just thick Canadian bacon meets actual bacon. And it's so good. And sure, it's salty and going to kill you, but absolutely committed relationship with Spam. It'll be a short life because the cholesterol will end me quickly, but I'll love every day. And yeah, Spam onigiri, absolutely. Spam, like Hawaiian Spam, like rolls and stuff, so good. Described like your crazy pastel goth partner. Exactly. Spam can make me worse, and I'll love every moment. Which is why hot and spicy Spam is surprising. This is actually, you know what? I was gonna put it as better as friends. Who am I kidding? It's still Spam. It's Spam that's maybe trying a little too hard though. It's Spam that's like kind of like isn't like already Spam is not great for you, you know? You are already cautious around Spam's kind of like influence like around you. Hot and spicy Spam is taking it to that next level. Hot and spicy Spam wants to do hard drugs at the club, and I've never been about that life, and it scares me a little. And so because of that, it's like, well, yeah, it's fun and it's wild, but you can't form a life around fun and wild all the time. Yeah, I got really into knives. Exactly. Got really into knives, got really into close-up magic. And just like, and also is like constantly asking you for money. They say it's for rent. You know they're spending it on cocaine. Hot and spicy, I mean, but at the same time, damn, it's hot and spicy. Tuna Creations, this is not even tuna in a can. This is tuna in a packet. This is tuna in a bag. I love tuna. It does not belong in a bag. This is what we used to put in our earthquake kits when we were children, because it would last for years. Tuna and fish should not last for years. This is a danger to itself and others. And as much as I love tuna, as much as I love canned tuna, tuna does not belong in a bag. Certain things that just should not, because it can't stay moist. It gets dry. It's like, imagine the driest tuna you've ever had. Oh, it's so bad. That's enough. Vienna sausages. Now this is fun, but not on its own. And I think because of that, it's a one-night stand, right? And this one's a little bit of a wild one-night stand. Kind of like Spam, where you're like, yeah, listen, we can have some fun. Vienna sausages is like, hey pigs, we can have some we can have some fun so long as you bring your friend blankets over, right? You need some bread. You need a little bit of crunch to go with the wet wiener otherwise, because otherwise it's just a bad textural experience, in my opinion. But the second that you wrap a crispy tiny croissant around one of these, that's a fun time. It's a lot of work though. Who's gonna do that every day? You know? I can't commit to that, but it's fun for a time. Pineapple slices. I adore pineapple. Pineapple is one of my favorite fruits. Peaches, apples, pineapples, kiwis. Off the top of my head, probably my favorite fruits. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but those are the ones that immediately come to me in the moment. Pineapple would always be on that list. Vienna and pineapple together, and I can see that being a good combo too, actually. You know, I can see that being a party. But you know, the pineapple also has the ring. It's got the hole in the middle. We'll move on. Beanie weenies. Hello. So beanie weenies is Vienna sausages and essentially like baked beans together. And I think with just the sheer math, this is just averaging out Vienna sausages and chili. I will say, actually, now that I'm looking at this, chili feels so low when compared to Vienna sausages. Oh. I think, actually, Vienna is going to be better as friends. And chili and I are casual, but I'm not upset to see chili. Well, maybe I am. But it's better than beefaroni and spaghetti. So at least it's the top of the casual acquaintances. Now, baked beans. There's a textural thing going on with baked beans as an experience that I'm gonna put into one night stand. I know I've been talking. It's funny, right? Because like I put chili down at the bottom, and I said I don't like things with too many beans, and then I put refried beans up here, and then I put Bush's Original Simply Baked. Let me be very clear. I am not putting Bush's Baked here as an eating experience. I am putting it here as a relationship experience. Whole black beans, honestly, that would be committed relationship. It's not here, but that would be committed relationship. Maybe we pull a few extra. Corned beef hash. You heard it in the promo. You're gonna hear it again now. Corned beef hash, more like corned beef smash. This is probably my favorite canned meat. I mean, Spam is so good too. It's hard to say, but corned beef hash and Spam were two absolute college staples for me. Just absolutely got me through some hard times where all the energy I had was enough to like heat up a pan and throw some meat on a pan. And corned beef hash was excellent for that. You do that with some hash browns. Oh, that's a party. That's a wonderful time. What you got there. So we were talking about some other canned foods, weren't we? Whole black beans. Let me grab whole black beans real quick. What I'm learning is that I love a lot of canned food. You know, I feel bad that I'm putting so many things into committed relationships, but turns out a lot of it's very good. Let me just save some black beans. And then what else were we talking about? We were talking about, there's one other thing of canned food. Let me scroll back in the chat. See if I can see it. Oh, I don't know. I might have missed it. Maybe I just casually mentioned something, but I can't remember it now. That's all fine though. Let's load up. Thank you, TTYJC Bear, for making this original list. Here we go. And black beans. Whole black beans also in the seriously committed relationship, because they're just so versatile. You can put black beans in just about anything. And now I'm wondering, what is it that I don't like about chili? Because I think individually I like all the components, right? I like ground beef. I like these beans. What is it that when these all come together, I'm just not having a good time? It's the weirdest, like, group session where you feel like the fourth wheel, I think is what's happening. I feel like I don't belong with chili. But I think actually maybe Quinn put a pin on it earlier. I think it's a textural thing. I think as soon as Fritos enter the mix, suddenly I'm down to party. But I need a crunch, because otherwise it's so many soft things on soft, on soft, on soft, on soft. And, you know, it sounds nice at first, and then you've got a mouthful of mush. And I don't love that. So, this is so many. This is so many things up in committed relationship. I might need to drop some, but I feel strongly about all of them. You do just put Fritos on top, but that's not what's in the image, you know? I feel like I've gotta go with like how I feel about the thing here, which is why I actually dropped the Vienna sausage, is because I'm like, it's not coming with the pig in the blanket. It's just this. Fresh onions, that does sound like it would be pretty good. I do like fresh onions. Or French onion, like French onion soup with a lot of cheese, also a good time. If you put enough cheese in a, so I don't love sour cream. Sour cream, I don't think I'm lactose intolerant, but certain things like sour cream do kind of upset my stomach. And I think that's just like it's one of those things where in a very similar way, I'm also not a big fan of baked potatoes. Shredded cheese and sour cream. Yeah, see, I think I would need a fondness for sour cream. The only thing I can tolerate sour cream in is Taco Bell, weirdly. And maybe it's because they're not using actual cream. I don't know exactly what their recipe is. But that's, yeah, I don't like baked potatoes. I don't know. I think baked potatoes are a thing that I had too many of when I was younger, and I just got burnt out on them. I'm burnt out on baked potatoes. Yeah, their sour cream is really good, and I'm not going to ask what it is. Absolutely. It's a don't ask, don't tell policy with Taco Bell. 100%. Okay. Ooh, this is a big boy, huh? So this is, so here we have, oh, wait, it disappeared. Let me go back. We have our canned, Smasher Pass list. I'm feeling pretty good about this overall. Wait, some of it disappeared. All of my own images disappeared, but I saved it. That it still exists for the internet, so don't worry about it. Other ones that I uploaded have gone for some reason. Can I get it here? No, weird. I don't know what happened there. But we'll always have the memories. So that's our canned food smash and pass list. That was Colin's recommendation. Now we're moving on. This is Pangolin's recommendation. This is 120 Crayola colors. Here's the doozy, folks. It's 120. So this is going to be entirely gut check oriented. I am not going to be this is going to be SABCHR situation. I might have to rationalize some of them as it's a little tough, but I think for the most part, we're just gonna go a little crazy on this one. These are gonna get full. Speed dating crayons, exactly. Pure vibes checks. This is I am swiping through Crayola Tinder, going left or right. Manatee. HR immediately. Straight, just opening strong. Tropical rainforest. One night stand. Gray, 24 count. I know her, casual acquaintance. Blue violet. Hello. One night stand. Pine green. Wait, I realize my own coloring might be off from what you're seeing because I have flux on. That was actually changing the color a lot. I did not realize that was even happening. We're gonna need to, okay. Suddenly, casual acquaintance and manatee in gray swap immediately. Blue violet immediately drops down to better as friends. Tropical rain can stay as a one night stand. Pine green. I need to zoom out a little bit. Get these in the screen. Am I not in presentation mode? There's no split. Here we go. Okay. It's hard to get it all in the scene at once. Pine green. Yeah, Pine green and I will stay together for a while. Black. Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the purple heart. Serious. Nope. One night stand. It just didn't work. It was a me thing, not a them thing. Pacific blue. Serious committed relationship. Absolutely. Outer space. Cool name. One night stand. Blue green. We're all going to learn a lot about my favorite colors. Royal purple. Let me compare this to purple heart. I think royal purple is where it's at. Bittersweet. Ooh. One night stand. Some of these are going to shift around as I go too, because I'm going to start color comparing them, because it's not like they're all in a gradient. Brown. This brown, I don't... Yeah. Well, I feel like there's going to be more interesting browns. Orange. One night stand with orange. Radical red. Absolutely one night stand. Antique brass. Casual acquaintance. Tan. Better as friends. Scarlet. Can make me worse. Absolutely. Serious committed relationship. Neon carrot. Wow, very fun name. Don't love the color though. I think we're just better as friends. Burnt sienna, a classic. Absolute famous. But never really been my cup of tea. Mango tango. Also very fun, very tropical. I think let's compare it to orange. Just a little less vibrant. A little less fun. I think I'm dropping that down to better as friends. Maroon. Ooh, okay. I'm actually dropping down bittersweet because I met maroon. And you know, just you can't date them all. Chestnut. Kind of like chestnut. Let me. What's chestnut? See, this is what I was talking about there's going to be more interesting brown. Like chestnut is like, what if brown had a little purple in it? And like we can hang. I actually think chestnut and I could date for a while. outrageous orange. This orange is trying too hard. It's one of those people who you're like, your whole deal is kind of being too much. Like, that's your gag as a person. And that's tough to be around for me for a long period of time. Fuzzy Wuzzy. Fuzzy Wuzzy, pretty close to honestly very close to Chestnut, but Chestnut has a maturity that Fuzzy Wuzzy doesn't have, and you can hear that in the name too. So I'm gonna put Fuzzy Wuzzy down to a one night stand. Fun for a night. Copper, a cab. Sunset Orange. Absolutely serious, sensually committed relationship. Maybe the longest lasting relationship on the list so far. Mahogany, also really good. I think the thing I'm learning is I'm horny for colors. Just, I'm looking at these and there's very few that I'm casual with. Raw Sienna. I think that's a casual acquaintance. It's so much worse than burnt sienna. Get burnt. Red Orange. Let's go. I think Red Orange is like, it's so similar to Sunset Orange and Scarlet that you think that we would get along better. But I think we're just better as friends. I think it's one of those things where it's actually maybe it's too similar to some of your exes, and you're like, oh, the vibe is kind of off there because you remind me of somebody I used to date. Burnt Orange. Now let's take a little look. I feel like they're changing colors as I drag them from down here to up here. Which I mean that's all of color, right? It's just like the color theory. See, burnt orange versus orange. It's interesting because burnt orange just looks like a paler orange. It looks less burnt than orange. I think I'm friends with burnt orange. Brick red though. Have a one night stand. It's a brick house. Indigo. Weirdly, out of all the blues, Indigo is just a casual acquaintance. Yeah, and this game is making me question my eyes as you shift the colors around. It's doing the same thing to me, 100%. I feel like I'm pretty good at color theory overall, but this is like absolutely, like making me be like, I could have sworn burnt orange was something entirely different. Jungle green. Now, despite this being the fact that I painted this is the color I painted my childhood bedroom. Despite that, I think actually maybe because of that, I know it too well. We could never take it further. I can't even really be friends. It's one of those people that you just grew apart from over time. And you're like, oh, you're kind of still like that, huh? Denim. Denim and I are friends. Honestly, looking at Denim now next to all the friends, I mean, I'll say red. This is one of those things where I'm like, red, orange, and Denim should maybe hook up, you know? Those times where you're seeing like your friends and you're like, I think there's some chemistry here. There's some good stuff happening between red, orange, and Denim. Purple Mountain Majesty. ACAB. Caribbean Green. Now that's a green that I can, you know, have a little fun with. That's a summer fling of a green. It's so funny looking at Pacific Blue and Blue Green, and it's like they're nearly identical, and I'm like, but no, that's right. Same with like Royal Purple and Purple Heart. Navy Blue. Ooh. I'm just looking at Navy Blue compared to Denim. Navy Blue's like a little bit brighter, you know, a little bit more like fresh. But I think it's just like Denim and Navy Blue are like brothers, you know, and it's just like they're a little too similar. And it's just the vibe isn't right. Violet Purple. I mean, it's part of the 8 count, right? You know, like that's like royalty among the crayon world, as we all know. I think violet purple is always going to be there for you. No matter what pack you get, violet purple is going to be in the pack. And it's kind of like, I mean, it might be hard to have a relationship with violet purple because they're so well known, because they're so famous, but it's a fun time when you're with them. Robin egg blue, absolutely committed relationship. That's such a nice blue. That's a beautiful time. Midnight blue, I feel like they're joining the Blues Brothers down in the Friends. But you know what? It's midnight. It's you know, you make some choices. That's a one night stand. Similar, I think, with Cerulean. I think these two are just like, you know, they catch a vibe from across the bar. They like my vibe. Eggplant. Now, despite the suggestive name, I think eggplant is HR. Maybe because of the suggestive name. Bluebell. Despite the name, not really blue. I barely blue. Like a purple gray almost to my eyes. Green. Despite being the sexiest M&M objectively, other than maybe yellow, I think green and I are better as friends. You know, it's that kind where it's just like, it's like pine green without the nuance, you know? Cornflower, beautiful color for a summer like dress, a sundress, cornflower blue. That's a one night stand. Wisteria. Ooh, Wisteria protects you from evil spirits. One night stand, absolutely. Always willing, and maybe even I kind of like it. That's pretty nice. Yeah, Wisteria can hang. Shamrock. Now, I do like the way that Shamrock shake. So I'm gonna go... That might be the other green that's actually in a committed relationship. Yeah, I think that's right. And blue. Just big old blue. We got... Let's take a look compared to the other blues. Now, blue is nice, right? Yeah, that's Shamrock Jiggle, exactly. Shamrock Shake. And you love the way it quake. Blue is kind of a little much, honestly. Like, looking at it just compared to all these other colors, it's just so look at me. Like, it takes so much attention. And it feels like it'd be actually a little hard to be around because of that. And so I think I'm just a casual acquaintance with blue. Fuchsia. Let's take a look compared to violet and royal purple. Fuchsia's nice. Wow, fuchsia's very nice. I think violet purple honestly might even go. I'm learning I really like saturated colors. But maybe it's similar to blue, in which when you put it next to other things, it has a hard time like playing nice with others. And so maybe it's still just a one night stand and you realize like, oh, this person's actually a little toxic. Sea green. I see green and I eat it. I think sea green and I are friends. It's nice. It's honestly very similar to Caribbean blue. But it's a little paler. I think it's friends. Wild Blue Wonder. I don't find it that wonderful. That's a casual acquaintance. It's not wild, it's not blue, and it's not wonderful. So I feel like this one really feels like a person who's really bragging about themselves, and like you're like, you're maybe trying a little too hard. Turquoise blue. See, that's so easy. It's just turquoise. Oh, that's turquoise. I love turquoise. I'm probably putting turquoise in long term. Yeah, I think so. Vivid violet. Let's compare it to normal violet. It is vivid. They're not wrong about that. It's saturated. I think it's similar to fuchsia. Hard to play with others, so it's a one-night stand. We're getting through it. Orchid. Cute, but not much there. Turquoise is your favorite color? The turquoise is a great color. It's really up there for me. Turquoise, I mean, you can see a lot of my favorite colors right here, obviously. Like, as you can tell, I basically, what I'm accidentally doing is I'm making a sunset. Huh? That's basically actually what's happening here, is I've accidentally made a gradient where if I bring the black up this way, we have a grass to ocean to like sky sunset situation. I have just created a day at the beach with like grassy hills up into like a nice sunset sky, and that is what I'm in a committed sensual relationship with. What's more sensual than a sunset? Name a single thing. I dare you. You can't do it. Let's see. Forest Green. We're friends. I'm friends with Forest. He's a nice guy, but we just, the spark's not there. Aquamarine. No, Aquamarine is like fun. We met at a bar. We had a good time. Never responded to my texts. Shocking Pink. I mean, sometimes you meet that person who's just shocking, but not necessarily in a way that like is fun. That of just like trying to like pull attention for this, trying to be shocking for the sake of it isn't like never a fun look. Mountain Meadow. Mountain Meadow has some mystery to her. Absolutely. Silver the Hedgehog. Call HR. Pink Flamingo. I mean, this is a fun Barbie look, but that's never really been my type, is what I'll say. So I'm probably go friends. Granny Smith apple. Granny, you say? I'll take a bite out of that apple once. Listen, Silver he's probably fine. I don't know enough about Sonic, but the look of him, Silver the Hedgehog, gives me Call HR vibes. Cadet Blue is another blue that is lying about who it is. This blue is a cop because it's just lying about being blue. Might as well be named Thin Blue Line. Sky Blue. I mean, Sky Blue is a great hang. Yeah, hide your grandma's when the robot walks in. Take a bite out of that apple. You only live once. Plum. Wow. Absolutely. In a serious committed relationship with Plum. Absolutely delicious. My favorite character to play as in Clue. Plum can party. Razzle Dazzle. Razzle Dazzle Rose. This is a lot. And I think it's one of those things similar, better as friends. I think maybe, there was that one time where just both Razzle Dazzle, Rose, and I got a little too drunk. Fern. Fern's a friend. Fern's a bit like Fern is a fun hippie, but it I think takes astrology too seriously. Yellow Green, a classic. Who hasn't flirted with Yellow Green in their time? Don't even get me started on Green Yellow. Hot Magenta. I mean, it's there in the name. It's there in the name. Screaming Green, also there in the name. Wow, that is a bright green. It's one of those, that's one that you regret in the middle of it. You realize that Screaming Green got that name for a reason. And you're like, wow, I'm never gonna do this again. Timberwolf. Timberwolf, casual acquaintance. I'm not a cop or HR vibes, but we don't hang, right? Honestly, I could be friends with Timberwolf. Out of all the grays so far, Timberwolf has had the most, like, going on, I feel like. And I very specifically said the grays, Greys. Not anything else that might have sounded like that. Purple pizzazz. I mean, there is pizzazz. What's purple pizzazz look like next to hot magenta? These are twins. These are twins. These have there is one mole defending, like, between that differentiates the two of them, and it's not clear, like, where that mole is. They just tell you that that's there, and you're like, I don't know who, and they constantly mess with you, asking you if you can tell who's who, and you can't, and they torture you about it. But it's kind of fun. Inchworm. That's an HR violation. Periwinkle. That's a character in Blue's Clues. That's straight to HR. Olive green. Ooh. Olive might be the first non-sunset color that I think goes into committed relationship. I'm gonna need to drag it up. Because olive is one of those colors that I think looks really good on me. It's one of those rare things where I'm like, I think this is actually kind of my color. And so olive, and I've had a lot of olive shirts that I really like. Red violet. Let's go. I mean, I think One Night Stand as well. A lot of the reds and the purples. Oh, honestly, kind of a little dark, maybe a little gothy. Lavender, also cute, totally different vibe than red violet, but also, honestly, once you compare it, some of these, it changes color so drastically depending on who you put it next to. That's what makes violet so interesting, you know? Asparagus, HR. You smell a little weird after a night with asparagus, and it's never the same. Spring green. Spring green is a casual acquaintance. I don't think it looks that springy. Marvelous. Now that's just good, clean fun. Marvelous is a good hang. That's fun for the whole family, is that name. And so, you know, just a nice hang. Yeah, the good night funk from asparagus, absolutely. Electric lime. Electric lime is also trying to get you into hard drugs, but like way worse hard drugs than whoever I said was doing that before, Radical Red maybe. And so electric lime has the scary hard drugs that you don't want anything about. Like hard drugs, or electric lime asks you if you want to smoke something that you should not be smoking. White. I mean, you know, not if they're going to be weird about it, but One Night Stand with white, sure. Magenta. There's so many pinks on the list now. I think Magenta and I are just better as friends. Canary. Canary's cute, but like, I don't know, I just can't see myself. That's a very funny emote. White. Piggy Pink. Piggy Pink wants you to do some things, wants you to call them names and stuff, and like doesn't ask for, like, you know, your kind of like limits. when you're first getting intimate, and you need to call HR about that. You need to make sure that there's, you know, that consent is being given, and Piggy doesn't play by those rules. See, I was talking about green yellow. We talked about yellow green. Yellow green made it pretty high up the list, didn't it? Unless I'm wrong. I think yellow green made it pretty high up. Yeah, yellow green was a one night stand pretty high on the list. Green yellow though? Yeah, exactly. Piggy Pink asks you to hold their leash in like the first 5 minutes. Piggy Pink is like showing you the ropes, but they don't mean it in like teaching you how to do something. They're showing you ropes and different ways to tie them. The Piggy Pink likes to get hogtied. Green yellow is a casual acquaintance, honestly at best. Close to call HR. Yeah, Piggy Pink has questionable photos on their computer. Absolutely. Piggy Pink needs the authorities involved. And they're a little like too they want other people. They're so convinced that everyone else is like that too. Cerise. Ooh, hello, Cerise. Now, Cerise is like, it's not just the classic Barbie pink, and it's not quite maroon. Like, Cerise is in a league all her own, and is absolute. Cerise is one of those people where you didn't know she existed, but when you meet, you're like, wow, where have you been all this time? A little different from your typical type, but is like fun, bright, but like nuanced. A good time. Hello, Cerise. Carnation Pink, honestly, too churchy. Better as friends. It's one of those things where it's like, as long as the conversation doesn't go that way, it's fine, but it too often does. Shadow the Hedgehog? One night stand with Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm sorry that I'm calling the cops on Silver, but Shadow's got a gun, and he's like doing sick jumps and explosions, and he's so broody that I think I can fix him, and then I can't, and then he steals all my Chaos Emeralds and takes them away to Dr. Eggman. And you know, you think I would learn, but next time he hits me up, I'm right back there again. Yeah, the bad boy allure of Shadow the Hedgehog cannot be understated. Banana Mania, HR. No more needs to be said. Its name is Banana Mania. There's no way that they're a healthy person. Tickle Me Pink. Again, consent, asking that way too quickly in getting to know them. Now this is called Laser Lemon. I read it as Loser Lemon, and I was like, oh, bad self-image. But I think Laser Lemon, kind of with the Screamin' Green of like, which is, you would think that Electric Lime and Screamin' Green would be right next to each other, but Electric Lime just like cannot be trusted. Laser Lemon is like Electric Lime's, you know, sibling, but is on a totally like, has that same like high energy, but is like straight edge, and like is there to like make sure that everybody's having a good time at the party. Almond, yeah, Almond, I'll say right up there with White and Shadow. Almond can hang out for you know, we'll have a night together. Wild Strawberry comes onto you, but you get the vibe that maybe they do that with everyone, you know? And that maybe they don't have the standards that you would look for in a partner, and so you decide to just be friends. Unmellow Yellow, the hypest of yellows. Honestly, unmellow, like anti-mellow, I mean, people can be fine and not be mellow, but I enjoy a relatively chill person. So it is hard to be more than like an acquaintance with unmellow yellow. They're always complaining. Cotton candy. I mean, that's a one night stand. And then just yellow. I think yellow. Yellow is fine. We're not super close. Yellow always brings out the worst in me. I feel like I look dead when yellow's around. Yellow's so vibrant that by comparison, I look like a zombie. And so it's hard. Blush. Oh, making me flustered over here. That's a one night stand, absolutely. Salmon. I mean, we've talked about fish earlier. And so I'm going to say salmon. I mean, I do love salmon as a food, but I can't make it a serious relationship. This one's just, hey, everyone, just be chill, right? Okay, let's all be normal for this next one, which is, well, it's just called beaver. Let's just all be normal. Right? Okay, good. I'm glad we were all chill about that. Normal name, normal color, normal one night stand. Apricot. Interesting. Moving on. Apricot and I are friends. And then pink sherbet. Pink sherbet's honestly pretty cute. I think pink sherbet's one of those things where I'm actually even going to move it up. I think pink sherbet, probably. That's the one. I think pink sherbet starts as friends. And then you find out that there's like a lot more to it, and it's actually a lot more fun than you think it was going to be. And you just like, you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that you had so much like nuance to you. You're sweet, but you also got like a little bit of a tang and sourness to you. Apricot jelly has been super nice. Oh, that does sound pretty good. Okay, we've got ads in 5 minutes. I think we can finish this by then. Gold digger, call HR. Desert sand, call HR. I hate sand. It's what's the line? It gets everywhere. It's grainy. It gets everywhere. I don't remember. You all remember the famous sand line from Star Wars. Violet red, different than red violet. Importantly, is one of those people. I think Violet red saw red violet, tried to do their whole thing, and then you just kind of like realize that they're trying to be someone else, and it's not really them. Dandelion. I think the only yellow that's going up to committed relationship is dandelion. I just think they're neat. I think that's fun. They're a dandelion. That's cute. They're a flower, but also a lion dressed up in a little suit with their hair slicked back. That's delightful. Melon. Going right there next to beaver. Goldenrod. Going right there next to melon. Razzmatazz. Again with the party drugs with razzmatazz. Vivid tangerine. Doesn't look that vivid. One of those things where you kind of call them on it and then they get weird. Sepia. Sepia can be a friend. We'll hang out with Sepia. Honestly, you get a few more drinks, and Sepia, comes back home with you. Peach, the princess, leaving him for Mario. We're better as friends. Wild watermelon. Ooh, that wild watermelon. We were just talking about watermelon. Turns out, I'd have a one night stand with a lot of colors. Learning something about myself. Tumbleweed? Absolutely not. Macaroni and cheese. Now, despite my placement in the last tier list as a food different than a color, that's also going in call HR. Red. Just big classic red. Absolutely. Honestly, might even bring it up to committed. It's so close to Scarlet. They might as well, you know, you have a type sometimes. We've got Sunglow. Yeah, Sunglow is going up right next to Dandelion. That's nice. I like that. Atomic Tangerine. That's... I don't want to get too close to Atomic Tangerine for radiation sickness. And then Yellow Orange. Yellow Orange. Yellow Orange is fine, but we're, you know, despite how much I like a lot of other oranges, I think Yellow Orange and I just, like, we never got time together. And then Jazzberry Jam. I mean, Jazzberry. That's just that's a tasty little treat. It's that Jazzberry. That might even, that's right up there with Cerise. Where you're like, oh, hello. Let me arrange these into a nice little gradient as best as I can. I guess that would go closer to there. All right, we have got our colors. Risking it for a Deathclaw. I'll risk it for Atomic Tangerine. Absolute. Hey, you know what? Game respect game. That radiation it makes you tingle in all the right ways sometimes, you know? We are going to hit ads in just 1 minute. Thanks y'all for hanging out with me. Next up, we have the thing that everybody's been waiting for. At least I know that I've been looking forward to a lot. We're going to be doing some household appliance tier lists, some Smash or Pass household appliances. It's time. And then I hope we'll have enough time to get to Monster Hunter. We might end up having to do another one of these down the line. I've been having a lot of fun. I hope y'all have too. And so, because it's already getting late. I mean, I don't have anywhere to be tomorrow morning, but I also don't want, you know, anyone, you know, I know people have to have a good bedtime. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So yeah, we'll do kitchen appliances next. We'll see what's up with Monster Hunter. We'll see where my energy level is. I just don't want to push my throat too hard, just as I'm still coughing a little bit from allergies and a cold, but we'll see how we're feeling. All right, kitchen appliances next up, right after the break. Don't go anywhere. All right, and we're back, and it is time for what I've been considering the main event, because this was the idea that kind of spawned the entire stream as a concept, because I just thought, as a robot VTuber, you know, you don't exactly always have other humanoid or flesh or let's call them organic lovers, you know? And there are times when you're staring at let's say a stand mixer, and you're like, yeah, I bet that mixer could work in all sorts of different functions. And so you know, and then you have that thought and you're like, well, there's so many things around the house. What's up, Coach Carter? Hope everyone's having a good time. We are warmed up. We are stretched out. We have had a couple of good practice tier lists with our objectively correct canned food tier list, our Crayola color tier list. We did all 120 Crayola colors. We have the objectively correct fast food list. And now it is time for household appliances. Okay, I think immediately, first off, waffle, I'm just going off purely off of vibes. Waffle iron, I would let it ruin me. You know, there's certain, similar to a panini press, which I don't know if I see here on this list. A panini, there are certain things where it's hot and it's meant to slam down on you and leave all the sorts of sears and folds that a robot might crave physically. That being said, it will leave you with burn marks. You do need to recover, and I think because of that, it makes it very hard. There's a lot of cleanup process for all of the batter that's been used, you know? And so, because of that, it's a one night stand. Immediately moving on. I think this will be a quick one, but, you know, just this tier list overall. I do think there's a few more obvious ones, right? I don't even need to say what this looks like it's the shape of, right? You know, there's a thing that a curling iron, there's a shape, a method, a heat function to it that it can, you know, there's crevices that I think it will always be there for you. You can, if you're willing to open yourself up for it, and I do mean that literally and physically. Yes, there's going to be a lot of robot anatomy in this, 100%. I think ironing board, and I'm taking this to be both the board and the iron itself. Yes, this is like a curling iron or a straightener maybe. Either way, the shape is right. For, you know, what you might need. Ironing board, very steamy, you know, but it always wants to bend you over and press you down. And sometimes that's a little tough emotionally to like deal with. And so that's going to be a one night stand. Now a fan is interesting. A ceiling fan, specifically a ceiling fan, I should say, because we do have an oscillating fan over here. A ceiling fan is fun, but it's kind of just always hovering over you. It's kind of always watching you. And as much as it is to kind of like love having somebody be a fan of you, it can feel a little overwhelming. I feel like to just like feel that constant lingering watching over your shoulder. And so I think the ceiling fan and I are better as friends. The AC unit, extremely cool, right? So cool. Keeps you easy breezy in the summertime and is like, yeah, it's a little high maintenance. They have expensive taste. They run the electric bill up, right? But can you imagine life without AC? You request that I play the game Date Everything when it releases. I would love to. I think that would be very fun. Because this, I feel like that's exactly up the alley of this stream, 100%. I've heard good things about that, and I know some D&D players like Emily Axford from Not Another D&D podcast and Dimension 20 are like doing voices for that game, and I'm excited to see what all of that's like. Because she can do some truly unhinged character voices. I think that'll be a good time. So AC, so cool. Can't imagine my life without it. Even though the physical side of things is a little difficult because they're a little boxy, you know, the plugs don't go where you think they would. And sometimes they're a little distant because they're up on the roof, but they're doing that to look out for you. And like, honestly, it's so supportive of them. I think this is like probably the most committed relationship out of anything we've tiered today is an AC unit and me. I love AC, you know? Now this, what is this thing? Is this an air fryer that I'm seeing down here? I'll admit I don't have an air fryer, so I'm going to skip this for now. And if somebody can confirm that that's an air fryer to me, that's fantastic. Now a wash tub. I know what you're thinking. Like, wash tub seems easy. This is like, committed relationship, something you use every day, is always there for you, getting you clean, getting you right, keeping you fresh. Now, see, as a robot, I have a difficult relationship with water and a shower, which gets into all the nooks and crannies. And so, as rejuvenating as that might feel, it would also be the last thing I ever feel before I short circuit. And so because of that, bathtub / shower, I guess actually this is bathtub because shower is down here. Bathtub, sensual, wonderful, love to soak. It would be the last thing I ever do, and therefore has to be a one night stand. Yeah, gotta get waterproofed. Absolutely. I would need a lot of sealant, and you know, that takes away from some of the fun. They insist, you know, I try and insist on using protection, and then the tub is like, no, we don't need all that, and then I literally die. So that is why it's a one night stand with the tub. Blender, very, very similar to the tub. It's very fun, and it's the last thing you ever do. I'm learning one night stand is apparently my go-to for a lot of these things, which I think is very funny. Coffee machine. Oh, coffee machine. Hot, there for you in the morning, gets you going throughout your day. Coffee machine is an easy committed relationship. You know, it's just like, is there for you. It knows exactly how you like it every time. And now, computer. This is an interesting one, because I use my computer a lot, right? I am part computer. So, you would think that I would put computer at a sensually committed relationship. But let's be honest. Did any of our lives get terribly better when computer came into the picture? I think it got better there for a while. I think computer did a lot of good for a lot of time. And then I think computer, unfortunately, became a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And it made it really hard, and you eventually have to like break things off with computer. And then computer keeps screaming at you and telling you that you can't live without them. And unfortunately, they're kind of right, and you've developed a really toxic relationship with computer. And I think it's time to get a professional involved, and I think we need to call HR. Yeah, computer goes on tangents a lot. Computer just will waste your time for no reason. You know, and sure, it's fun, but you do need to set better boundaries with computer than I've been able to. Now, here's an interesting thing. Dishwasher versus washing machine. Sounds a bit like self-reflection. You know, absolutely. Do I need better, boundaries with computer? Yes. Do I also work with computer every day? Also, yes. Is also the way I relax on computer? Yes. So yes, I do think maybe it's a me problem. I think, what is this one as well? I don't recognize what these two are. I'm pretty sure this is an air fryer. I have no idea what this is. It looks like maybe a water fountain. Is this an espresso machine specifically? Is this fancy coffee? This is French coffee maybe? We've got dishwasher and washing machine as I move on. I'm gonna say dishwasher. Which one do I rank higher here? Honestly, both of these. This is making you question your own relationship with computer. I think we all need to take a serious look. I think we would all normally put computer in committed relationship because of how kind of what's the word I'm looking for? How codependent we are on computer. But it's not a healthy relationship, you know? It's committed, sure. But I think maybe, you know, me and computer might need couples counseling, for sure. Now, dishwasher and washing machine, I think both are in sensual committed relationships. And this is because I'm a dirty boy. I think two great ways to get clean. And dishwasher can wash all the parts, and washing machine washes all the clothes. And either way, I get soapy sudsy in a way that I know I said I was anti-bath, but there's something about getting tossed around maybe I like a little bit. And so I'm going to put both of those in committed relationship. you know, because they know what I want. And then, so griddle, you know, I love a griddle, but I don't have a griddle. And so I think griddle actually is just like, we're friends. I like when griddle's around. I use griddle. But griddle and I, we've never been together like that. Now, oscillating fan. There's that little cage, and they tell you that you're not supposed to put your tongue or fingers in between the little wires of that little cage. But, you know, let he who has not stuck their tongue through the little iron cage and got their tongue stuck on the fan blade throw the first stone. And so that goes up to a one-night stand. Now, a double freezer, like a standing separate second freezer that goes out to the garage. Yeah, oscillating fan is like the childhood friend you find again as an adult and maybe fall in love with, who knows? Absolutely, but is also, they've gotten kind of freaky over the years, and they're like gonna hurt you a little bit. But like you kind of love that about them. As somebody who's loved to see how it changed my voice, yeah, you know what? Robot voice is very fun. There's many among us who love a robot voice. And so standing separate freezer that goes in garage, that's HR. Because when you have that, that's where the bodies live. You know, there's parts in there that you don't want to see. That's serial killer stuff. So you got to call HR right away if you see one of those. Standing fridge. I think standing fridge is committed relationship. I could just climb right in there, and it's like one big cold hug. You know, just close it in on myself, and that's where I live now. I'm just feeling comforted as I'm surrounded by all of the foods that we've talked about before. I can't imagine life without fridge. And I think because of that, committed relationship, easy. Oh, this is panini press. We were talking about panini press earlier when we were talking about waffle iron. I think for basically the exact same reasons. Waffle iron and panini press are one night stands. Get smashed, do some smashing, but it's nothing serious. You know, if panini press left your, like, kind of like dumped you the next day, you wouldn't have that hard feelings about it. You'd be like, you know what, we had our fun, this was great, but sometimes you just gotta go your separate ways. Propane grill. This looks like a propane grill, because this one over here to the right is a charcoal grill, kind of behind me that you can't see. Propane grill. So fun story. As a child, during the summertime, I really wanted a hot dog. I wanted to eat a grilled hot dog more than like anything in the world. Both of my parents were at work. And so I called my dad, and he's like, I'm at work. What do you want? He said it nicer than that. But, and then I was like, I really want a hot dog, but I don't know how to start the grill. I don't know how to turn on the grill and grill a hot dog. Cause I was about 10 at the time. And he was like, okay, you're about old enough. You should be able to handle this. And he starts walking me through the instructions of turning on the grill. And so he's like, you turn the two levers over to like the fire sign. You make sure that the propane is turned on, and then you hit the ignite button. And I do all those things. I turn the lever over to like the fire sign. I make sure the propane is turned on so that the gas is flowing. Then I hit the ignite button and nothing happens. And I'm telling my dad, hey, nothing's working. And then he's like, oh, the ignite button just broke recently. You're going to need to go grab the long lighter from inside the kitchen and go light it manually. It'll catch on the gas. And at no point said anything about turning off the gas levers to make sure that there wasn't a lot of propane gas buildup when I started the grill. And so I grab the lighter, I go over to this propane grill that now has been like filling up with gas for at least a minute, maybe two. And I spark the lighter and whoom, like a fireball erupts and like blows off my eyebrows, blows off my eyelashes, blows off my bangs. Thank God I'm not burned, but it just takes every blonde hair off of my face, and just I am left like looking like a weird little shaved 10-year-old, just absolutely scorched. And you know what? I got my hot dog. Yeah, fire safety. So I learned my lesson, and I made that hot dog. And then my dad was like, "You cannot tell your mother about this." But what he wasn't expecting was the house then reeked of burnt hair for the whole day. And so my mom gets home a little bit before my dad, and she goes, "Well, what smells like it's burning?" And I just go, "It's me," because I could not lie at all. It was just like she smelled it immediately. And because of that, the propane grill is hot but dangerous, a lot of fun, very tasty, but you know, you have to be careful around it. And I need somebody that I can let my guard down around for a committed relationship. And so because of that, it's like propane grill makes it for a fun one-night stand, but we can't be more than just that. I need to be able to be a little forgetful and have that be okay. Me, I burned. Like she wouldn't notice. I had no more eyebrows. I would not have been able to, like, what did he expect me to do? To say that I shaved them off for fun? I don't know what he was expecting for there. Now, hand mixer. All I'm saying is that I think you could do some fun things with your hand and a mixer. And other parts that the mixer, you know, could fit. All sorts of crevices and crannies. Blow dryer. I love feeling a blow dryer against my face. Just like, it's a terrible waste of energy. They use so much. And honestly, I haven't had one in a long time, so I think we're just better as friends. It's one of those fun to be around, you know, but never gonna take anything too seriously. Space heater keeps me warm when it is cold outside. And this, no, it is, your casual acquaintances do not factor in, because I know all of these things. Honestly, the air fryer and whatever this is are probably going into casual acquaintances, but I'm skipping those in case anybody can elucidate what these two images actually are, because until then I'm like, I don't know what that is. But yes, I feel very strongly one way or another about all these appliances for sure. Yeah, the hair dryer is a gold digger for sure. Okay, space heater. Space heater is one of those things where it's all about time and place. If you, the black one is an air fryer. Okay, so that one goes into casual acquaintance. I've heard good things. I've just never had any experience with them before. I've heard it's basically like a fancy toaster oven, and that sounds nice. I like it. I've heard really, really good things, and I bet I could have a sensually committed relationship with an air fryer had I had one. And the way that it reheats stuff, I've heard basically nothing but wonderful tales. But, you know, I just haven't been so lucky. Auto can opener. That might be what that is. I could get opened up by... Oh! It heard me say that and it was like, absolutely not. Oh my god, all the ads. All the ads. Presentation mode. Jesus Christ, I was getting absolutely... It's wild how many ads this website does the second that you're not in presentation mode. I was getting just so many pop-ups I couldn't even see the like window anymore. I was just trying to zoom in. Oh, I think you're right. I think that's a can opener. Yeah, that's an extremely fancy can opener. That's... honestly, I mean, I was joking about being like, I could get my can opened, but that's, and listen, it's a funny joke. I'm not going to say getting my can opened is not an excellent banger and an excellent bang, but who needs all that? If you can't, like, I think unless you have, some sort of like disability, in which case you can't use your arms, like, for whatever reason. But like, can opener is a pretty basic thing. I don't think we need to get all that fancy with it. That seems like a little much to me. And it's not outly evil. So maybe I'll just be a casual acquaintance with it, but I'm a little sus of the auto can opener. The slow cooker, though, I'm ready to get cooked. Nice and slow. With tantric, like Seal from the Police. That's not what Seal is from. That's the other guy. I don't remember rockstar names. It's getting late. Don't worry about it. Space heater. This is what I was talking about before. Before I got very sidetracked because of computer. See? And bringing it all back. Space heater depends entirely on where you are in the world. When you meet space heater, it could either be the perfect fit for you, or you're like, I absolutely don't need you in my life. That being said, if you need space heater and you don't have space heater, oh boy, do you want it in your life. Like a cold winter's night without space heater and without like central like heat or anything. Oh my goodness. The warmth of a lover. And sure, they could burn you. And they could burn your whole house down because they're a little temperamental. But to go a night without the heat of your lover on a cold winter's eve, I can hardly think of a fate more ill than that. Now, see, this home phone, that's pretty good. It was once phones got a little too far past this that I think that's when we started to have computer issue. And so I think because of that, I'm not trying to get frisky with home phone, but we can hang out and, have a great time. Talk about the old days. Absolutely. Heat. This is, just like oh gosh. See, my words are leaving me because it's getting a little late. This is like a heating pad, right? Not a heating pad, like a heating element, a stovetop, like a single stovetop. What is that called? Y'all know what I'm talking about though, like a single plug-in portable stovetop bit. That's just hang it. Yes, a hot plate. Thank you. Heat pad. All these different words that I was coming up with. Yes, hot plate, 100%. Just hang out. Home phone had a weird payment plan for that. Yeah, I guess maybe home phone does have some like pyramid scheme tendencies that I don't love. But hot plate is honestly just stove but worse, and we do have like a range stove. Hot plate is like, when you need hot plate because you don't have stove, it's great. But it's one of those things where you're like, I can't stay with you forever. You grow apart from hot plate because otherwise it's just too difficult. It's high maintenance, high energy. And so we're just better as friends. You grow apart over time. So we've got a slow cooker, and now this is a rice cooker. And that's a tricky one. I use my rice cooker all the time, but I can also cook my rice just fine without a rice cooker. I don't need it, but I do like to have it around. And to me, I think that's a friend. Now, okay, this is a Keurig. That's HR for all sorts of world waste. The amount of trash that Keurig produces, absolutely not. Call HR. Get someone responsible on the line to handle it. Standing lamp. Let's go. You know, I love to have standing lamp around, but I don't use it all the time. It's great for when you're reading. You know, it's a very intellectual thing, and but when you have it around, you know, it creates some nice mood lighting, and then one thing leads to another, and you know, it's a one-night stand. This is too big to see what this is a wall-mounted television is what this is, I think. I think there's another TV down here. So I'm going to skip that for now. I think that's a wall-mounted television, but I'll skip that for now. Oven, a one-night light stand. Exactly, Pangolin. Oven. I'm loving oven. Literally makes any vegetable edible. You roast a vegetable, like cooks for you, you know, provides you that warmth, and like, you know, doesn't require too much cleaning as long as you're a little careful with it. This is a microwave. Oh, you might be right. Yeah, I think you are right. Yeah, because we have toaster oven over here, and then we have, yeah, this must be microwave. You're totally right. Now microwave is like cheap stove or cheap oven, right? It's quick, it's fun, it gets the job done, but like not in a way that you really love a lot of the time. And like a lot of the time you're like, oh, I should have taken my time with this. I should have put the frozen food in the oven instead of doing the quickie version. And you know, as a quickie version, I'm not going to say I don't use it. I'm not going to say it's not around. I'm not hanging out with microwave, but I can't commit like that. It's great for a short fling, a couple of minutes, and a lot of radiation. Paper shredder could absolutely shred me. Absolutely. It's one night stand. Just absolutely ruin me. Printer never works. Always out of ink. Never in the right mood. And is constantly like whining at you if you didn't get the exact right parts that it needs. And you can never really connect with it. You know, it has such a problem where it's just like, you don't understand me. And you're like, I've tried to go through all of our conversational menus and I still can't get my Wi-Fi to connect with you. And by that, I mean my emotions. And so printer has got to be HR for me. Now this also looks like a rice cooker to me. Oh, this is an Instapot, actually, is what this middle one is. And this is a rice cooker. You know, I think both of those are better as friends. I think slow cooker is the one I would take. Hey, thanks for hanging out, Quinn. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up right after this one. I think we're going to save Monster Hunter monsters for another evening because it is getting late and my words are starting to fail me. Thank you so much for hanging out. Have a wonderful night. Sewing machine, you know, likes to get a little freaky, is into needle play a little bit in a way that I'm not sure that I enjoy, but is kind of like fun for, you know. Actually, you know what, is maybe better as friend. One of those things where you think about it and you're like, I'm not sure we're right for each other. Shower, exact same problem as the bath, but honestly a little less sensual, so I think I'm gonna be better as friends. Sink. Yeah, thanks Colin, thanks for hanging out. Have a wonderful night. Sink, you know, everything but the kitchen sink. I think sink and I also in a similar way of shower. It's like I'm always saying a sink is like a less sexy washing machine. And so because of that, we're just better as friends. There's no physical spark there. Charcoal grill. Super hot. but a lot of effort, you know? And because of that, you like want to try starting something with each other, and then you're just like, is it really worth it? Like the amount, they seem so high maintenance. And then you realize that you're honestly probably just better off as friends. So you're like, I don't want to put in all that work. What? Stand mixer. I think, honestly, because we had hand mixer, stand mixer, sure, stronger, 100%. It has a few more bells and whistles, but it's like a little less flexible, and it is a little like, you know, heavier just in a way of like not as easy to adapt throughout the day. You can't just like bring stand mixer anywhere as easily as you can bring hand mixer. I think because of that, it's like, I think we're better as friends. The home stereo system. Listen. Blast my eardrums out. Absolutely ruin my skull with your sounds. Please. A good home hi-fi stereo system. Ooh. Anything for that. Stovetop. As different than oven. Also extremely important. This is the best way to cook many a meat. You know? You can't roast everything. But it's like a little bit, honestly, a little bit nastier, right? You got to be a little bit cleaner with it, to a little bit more high maintenance than with stove. And it's really sensitive too. The temperatures between, you know, you're like, what's the difference between a 5 and a 6? Really? What does that mean temperature wise? You never know quite where it's at. I think because of that, even though stove is committed relationship, oven is committed relationship. Stovetop, one night stand. Though, can I imagine life without it? That's kind of my thought here. I mean, not for this one's just about the shape and the physicality of it, but the others are much more about in my heart of hearts. I think because of that, it goes hand in hand. These two are not the same without each other. Okay, now this is a hair straightener. And despite the placement of hair curler, I think hair straightener goes straight to HR. There's something happening here where it's going to clamp down on me and straighten me in a way that I am not, you know, asking for, whether I want it to or not. And that's not cool. So hair straightener, straight to HR. Toaster oven. Now, I loved my old toaster oven in like back when I first moved into like my apartment. It broke and I haven't really missed it since. So it's one of those things of, you know, we were really close there for a while, and then we went different ways. I kept on living, and they went to the dump. And so I think very similarly, like this is the one where I know it better than I know air fryer, but I think if I were to get either of these two again, I would probably get an air fryer, because I've heard an air fryer can basically do what a toaster oven does and then some. You know, I think life has maybe moved on past toaster oven, and I feel a little bad for it almost in that way of just like, it's not really as relevant as it used to be. Don't get me wrong, toaster oven, great for toast, great for making melting the cheese on English muffins for a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Absolutely fantastic. But you know what I do that in now? My actual oven. And turns out, just as easy. You can use the big oven to do small oven job. Yeah, I don't have the experience of an air fryer either. That's definitely something that I'm curious about, but I don't have enough kitchen space right now is like the real thing. So similar, toaster. Actually, toaster? Like, yeah. I feel bad I don't think toaster needs to go to HR. I think toaster's not really hurting anyone unless it's falling into a bathtub, as we've seen in cartoons and such in the past. And accidentally electrocuting people. But toaster does nothing for me anymore. There's so much more that air fryer and toaster oven can do. And I'm talking about life moving on past toaster oven. Life has really moved on past toaster. It doesn't even do its one job particularly well, because you can't see how toasted something is. You know where you can see how toasted something is? In the toaster oven. You've got that little window and usually a light on inside to check how your toast is doing. Toilet. Now listen. Okay? Let's all be normal. If we're talking about can't imagine life without, right? Now, this is tough. This is the toughest one. I did not see toilet in this list earlier, or I would have deleted it. So I did not have to broach this idea. Toilet is both committed relationship and HR. Because I can't imagine living life without a toilet. I don't want to, right? What am I going to do? Go to the bathroom outside every time? That sounds freeing, actually. Maybe I wouldn't like that, or I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, exactly. Toilet just handles business. Maybe this is... I think... Yeah, we need a new category, actually. That's such a good point, Pangolin. I need to add a row below casual... actually, a row above casual acquaintance. And that's going to be... Wait, no. That's such a good point. Let your pants leak? I don't think so. The oil will get everywhere. So this is not even better as friends, because I don't think you should do what I do with a toilet with friends. We're in business together. Toilet handles business, takes care of shit, you know? And so because of that, we're in business together. I couldn't do what I do without toilet, but also sometimes it's a love-hate relationship. And so, you know, toilet is a badass boss bitch, but we're just business partners. Television, close to HR because of similar issues with computer, but is like less utility, which actually makes it better because you can't get quite as sidetracked with TV. And I think because I work in entertainment, this is maybe a more toxic one, but I am in a committed relationship with television, whether I like it or not. So that's maybe toxic relationship with TV. And this is deeply much more toxic relationship with computer. Yeah, toilet is not for everyone. That is a special relationship. Exactly. A vacuum. Listen, we all understand. We all saw that part of the vacuum that came off in a tube as a child and were curious about what it would be like. And thank God we never did experiment with it until, you know, and then you had to rush to the hospital and you did, vowed never to do it again. And so it's a one-night stand. This is a dryer, I want to say, because I think the last one was a washer. This one's a dryer. At least that's what I'm going to say. Though maybe this is a washer actually, and the other one is dryer. It's hard to see just from the photo. Yeah, the dark tempter of all of our lives, 100%. the tube from a vacuum. I think Dryer and I are better as friends. Washer is fun, sloppy, soapy, you know, gets me clean, but in a fun, rough and tumble way. Dryer is like always there to kind of just like suck the energy out of things, you know, and gets really heated. And it is fun to like be with when other people are around, but like you don't want a Dryer on its own, you know. Dryer on its own, very weird energy with Dryer on its own. I guess some things are dry clean only, but even then you need to go take it to a specialty place. I don't feel like you can just toss it in the dryer. How many times has Dryer shrunk things spitefully, intentionally? Certainly not because I put specific dryers do great aftercare, very fluffy and soft. That's true. You know, that's absolutely true. There is a warmth and a comfort to time after with Dryer. But I'm trying to think of it as on its own. And maybe I wouldn't love washing machine on its own because it leaves you cold and damp. But Dryer, if you're not cold and damp before you meet Dryer, it's a weird time. The energy and the hang is off. And so things just never get a little further. Unless... No. I think that's right. I think this is correct. I think people will be surprised by some of these, but I think this is a very good time. And this is a very good list. So I'm going to save this one as well. We'll have all of our saved tier lists. I'll post these up on Blue Sky and Instagram tomorrow so people can see what they missed, so that they know, and that they could have been here for such, you know, wild but correct opinions as S tier hair curling iron and H tier computer. But yeah, thank you all so much. I had such a good time with this. I think we are going to leave because it's almost 11 my time. So we're gonna leave Monster Hunter Monsters for another time. I had such a good time with this. I would love to do it again sometime.